Hey, thank you so much for clicking on the video. My name is Kaylee, and this is a Read Rant Review, where, you guessed it, I read books and I do rant reviews. If you have seen my videos previously, you know what's up. And if you're new here, hey, how's it going? Glad you clicked on the video. I read a bunch of crazy stuff, and then I tell you all about it. If it's a bad book, I try to retell you the story in a way that makes it fun, or maybe we suffer together, or maybe we just read some nonsense and, I don't know, try to make the best of the crazy stuff that gets published today. Or if it's something really, really good, I try to tell you in a way that convinces you to pick it up and read it on your own, and then revisit it so that we can have a little fun bestie book club. You know what I mean? So you never know what you're getting with me. I review all kinds of genres. I like from classics to thriller to dark romance to monster romance to regular fiction. I sometimes dabble in a little bit of like historical-y stuff. You literally, quite literally, never know what you're getting with me. Today, we're doing another thriller. We are doing Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Sorry, every time I say that, it makes me think of Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. I've never read any of her books before. This is the first time I've read one, first time I'm doing one of her books on the channel. Rock, Paper, Scissors is her most popular book, sitting currently, as of recording, December 28th, 2025, on Goodreads at 686,000 ratings at a 3.88, which is, like, good. Maybe not, like, phenomenal, but, like, good. And it was published in 2021, 294 pages, so it's on the shorter side. I'll go ahead and read you the book description, I'll give you a couple disclaimers, and then we'll dive right in. So the book description, according to Goodreads, and I guess for context, I am recording this, like this piece of this video right here, right now with you, at the 25% mark, which is the point where, up until this, I said, hey, so what the heck are we doing? Am I wasting my time? I feel like I've just been like in limbo for 25% of the book. I have just been repeatedly experiencing the exact same words and feelings and emotions from the characters. We haven't left the living room of the house that we've arrived in. Like, it has quite literally been a nothing burger for 25% of the book. I hope we're about to get interesting. I hope to God we're about to get interesting, okay? So I figured, let me record my current thoughts and my current predictions, I guess, about what I think is to come. And then we can kind of experience it almost like reading vlog-wise, you know? I think that would be fun that way. Sorry, book description. Think you know the person you married? Think again. Things have been wrong with Mr. and Mrs. Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, by the way, for a long time. When Adam and Amelia, I love the name Amelia, when Adam and Amelia went a weekend away to Scotland, it might be just what their marriage needs. Self-confessed workaholic and screenwriter Adam Wright has lived with face blindness his whole life. He can't recognize friends or family or even his own wife. Every anniversary, the couple exchange traditional gifts: paper, cotton, pottery, tin, and each year, Adam's wife writes him a letter that she never lets him read. Until now. They both know this weekend will make or break their marriage, but they didn't randomly win this trip. One of them is lying, and someone doesn't want them to live happily ever after. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of secrets, and an anniversary they will never forget. Rock, Paper, Scissors is the latest exciting domestic thriller from the Queen. Sorry. What a weird description for Goodreads. Sorry. We'll revisit that in a second. Domestic thriller from the Queen of the killer twist, New York Times bestselling author Alice Feeney. Somebody commented in one of my videos recently and said, hey, love the video, but you have to stop the fake laughter. To which all I have to say, I've gotten so many negative comments lately. God bless the Christmas spirit, I guess. Don't know what's up with that. Y'all gotta chill. I have blocked so many people lately. I don't fake laugh. I laugh when I feel awkward. I laugh when I feel mad. I laugh at every single uncomfortable, weird emotion in my life. And just in general, Hey, turns out I don't take life seriously. I laugh at everything at every chance I get. And I recommend you do the same. And if you're someone who comments that, I recommend that you do the same while touching grass, you know? Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, yeah, we'll get into the book, I guess. The other disclaimers, though, really, really fast. This review's not for the author, Alice Feeney, not for you, okay? Literally, quite literally, my reviews are for readers. No matter how much I like or dislike a book, I don't really care. It's for the readers, authors, friends, family, stans, anything of the like. Don't watch this video. And this review will contain all of the spoilers, like I said, beat by beat, chapter by chapter breakdown. Don't read this if you want to read or don't watch this if you want to read the book. And last but not least, I like to put a content or trigger warning on all of my videos. I don't have that list accessible to me, so we're going to do a really awkward jump cut to me reading that to you. Oh, sorry, almost forgot this piece. On the triggerwarningdatabase.com, did not know that was a thing. Trigger and content warnings are infidelity, a car accident, infertility, miscarriage. It's very briefly talked about, but the infertility does come up, I think, in like 4 or 5 different chapters. It gets talked about, and then animal neglect mentioned off page. Interesting. Yeah, I think that really kind of covers it. And then like parental death. Pretty much everybody in this freaking book, all their parents are dead, and it gets talked about. So heads up. And then we'll come right back here to this moment. Hello, welcome back. Let's dive right in. So our book opens with a couple who very clearly like hate each other like a lot. They're going on vacation. We have Amelia, who is our main female character. She works at, I believe it's like a dog, like groomer, boarding facility type situation. And then her husband, Adam, is a screenwriter and like writes stories and have them be on the screen, but none of his stuff has been like quote unquote like good enough to get that far. So instead he just turns other people's stories into movies. So his career's doing kind of pretty good, okay, but he's not really fulfilled by it. He's pretty upset. Amelia is, you know, loving doing the whole animal gig. But yeah, they're just getting by. And they're going on a very much needed vacation that she tells him that she won at work. They did like a work Christmas holiday raffle thing. And so they're going off into the Scottish Highlands to go and have this vacation. So the middle of a snowstorm, right? Like I said, there's a lot of tension between the two of them, arguing about why they're even going here. Adam hates driving. She is just upset that she has to do all this stuff. We also learn in this moment that Adam has face blindness. There's like a particular word for it that I can't remember off the top of my head, but he literally like can't recognize faces at all, including his own wife's. And we get told that and reminded that constantly. Like the author will not let you forget that this man does not know faces and cannot recognize faces. I also hate this too because I highlight and do notes, and that's kind of how I base these stories off with you guys. But the chapters don't have numbers. They're just like titled for who is narrating at the moment. So I am losing my mind about that. That is making my life significantly more difficult. Like significantly more difficult. But our book opens, I'll read you the first highlight. You'll get a vibe for the writing style, and you'll get a vibe for, like I said, this like palpable hatred between the two of these people. This is Amelia's POV, 5,000 people highlighted, the second half of this paragraph that I'll read you. Can a weekend away save a marriage? That's what my husband said when the counselor suggested it. Every time his words replay in my mind, a new list of regrets writes itself inside of my head. To have wasted so much of our lives by not really living them makes me feel so sad. We weren't always the people we are now, but our memories of the past can make liars of us all. That's why I'm focusing on the future. Mine. Some days I still picture him in it, but there are moments when I imagine what it would be like to be on my own again. It isn't what I want, but I do wonder whether it might be for the best for both of us. Time can change relationships like the sea reshapes the sand. And then there's a little bit of a break, and then my next highlight says, my husband might not know my face, but there are other ways he has learned to recognize me. The smell of my perfume, the sound of my voice, the feel of my hand in his when he still used to hold it. Marriages don't fail, people do. I am not the woman that he fell in love with all those years ago. I wonder whether he can tell how much older I look now, or if he notices the infiltration of gray in my long blonde hair. 40 might be the new 30, but my skin is creased with wrinkles that were rarely caused by laughter. We used to have so much in common, sharing our secrets and dreams, not just a bed. We still finish each other's sentences, but these days, we get them wrong. Despite our problems, I'm so proud of everything he's achieved. Adam Wright built a reputation in the business for turning undiscovered novels into blockbuster movies, and he's still always on the lookout for the next. I'll admit that sometimes I feel jealous, but I think that's only natural given the number of nights when he would rather take a book to bed. My husband doesn't cheat on me with other women or men. He has love affairs with their words. Okay, like I said, that's literally from like the very first blips and blurbs of chapter 1. And I am at the I think I'm at the 29% now in the book. And it's still the same shit, bro. Ain't nothing happened. It's quite literally just them like commiserating and thinking about the secrets that I'm keeping, or like that she's keeping from her husband, or he's like, yeah, the secrets I'm keeping from my wife, and I know she's keeping secrets too. For like 30% of the book, nothing has happened yet, dude. I'm so mad. And they're just like so insufferable. Again, okay, so here's the vibe from Adam's point of view, okay? Same thing. They arrive to this church thing. He thought at least that it was going to be like a house, but it's like an old abandoned church, and it's like really, really creepy and dusty and cobwebs everywhere, and there's like some random handwritten note that's like welcoming there. And that's it. Amelia, sensing defeat, uses that passive-aggressive sing-song tone that used to amuse me. These days, it makes me wish I was deaf. Shall we go inside? Make the best of it? If it's really that bad, we'll just leave and find a hotel or sleep in the car if we have to. I would rather eat my own liver than go back in the car with her. My wife says the same things lately, over and over, and her words always feel like a pinch or a slap. I don't understand you irritates me the most, because what's to understand? She likes animals more than she likes people, and I prefer fiction. I suppose the real problems began when we started preferring those things to each other. It feels like the terms and conditions of our relationship have either been forgotten or were never properly read in the first place. It isn't as though I wasn't a workaholic when we first met, or writer-aholic, as she likes to call it. All people are addicts, and all addicts desire the same thing, an escape from reality. My job just happens to be my favorite drug. Do you see what I mean? I'm like, yeah, no wonder your wife hates you, bro. God damn, I read one thing from your POV and I already hate you too. Like, it's just like pretentious. And it's, I think, intentionally pretentious from his point of view. Like, I think that's the character dynamic that like the author is trying to, you know what I mean? It feels purposeful rather than other books where I think that just how the author comes across. I'm referencing The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. But yeah, I'm like, okay, wow, I hate all of these people, actually, genuinely. And so we arrive here, and like I said, we're getting POV like shifts between the husband and wife, and then we also get throwbacks to letters that she writes her husband on their anniversaries. So you know how like every anniversary, it's like a gift, right? Like the first year, I believe it's paper, cotton, leather, linen, wood, iron, yeah, stuff like that, where it's like every year of your marriage, it's like a different gift that you're supposed to give each other on like the next anniversary or whatever. It's kind of cute. And so in, not really like lieu of that, but as part of that, she writes him a letter on their anniversaries, and we get that in the novel. And it's weird, and it just adds, I guess, some like backstory, history to their relationship. And so in this first one that we get, it's called Rock. And so in this first like relationship flashback letter, the reason that it's called Rock is because this is documenting like when they had first gotten engaged, and kind of like a little reflective piece, like very, very early on in their relationship when they had first started dating and like moving in together. And she makes kind of some weird comments in the letter about how it's easier to hide the darker parts of yourself until you move in together, and how like, oh yeah, you hid the clutter better before I pretty much like saw you full time, right? And I realized how much of like a messy person you are and how addicted to your work that you actually are once we live together. I mean, which is like a valid thing to point out. The other reason, though, and the reason, like we said, this is called Rock, is because at the very end of the chapter, it documents them getting engaged, right? So that's kind of like the Rock, I think, but also referencing his manuscript called Rock, Paper, Scissors, a title of the book, right? So she came across his manuscript in his desk, kind of like buried under some stuff. And like we said, he had tried to write his own things and get his own things like on television and movies and whatnot, but it was never, again, quote unquote, good enough. And so this was like his baby, his like cherished manuscript that won't ever see the light of day. And he was really, really upset with her for finding it and reading it and blah, 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 whatever. She's like, I believe in you, though. Okay, cool. End letter. Oh, and actually, I forgot about this. So he proposes to her. This makes no sense to me at all, by the way. Where is this at? He proposes to her. I think it's best to make all important life decisions with a game of rock, paper, scissors. I teased because I believe in your writing just as much as I believe in us, and I don't think we should ever give up on either. You smiled. So just to clarify, if I lose, it's a yes. And then she's like, I intentionally lost because I know that you always start with scissors. Or is that what she said? You know what? I don't even give a shit. I'm not even looking at it. I was so mad about it when I read it, though. I was like, are you kidding me? I know it's just trying to be quirky and cute or whatever, but it just felt so try hard. I don't know. There was something Colleen Hoover coded about it, like forcing an inside joke onto me with zero additional context or making these characters likable or me like their relationship before getting me in on a joke with them. It's like you're just like, hey, this is like a thing. Here you go. It's cute and quirky. And I'm like, it just fell really, really flat. So much of this book just kind of fell really, really flat for me personally. But that's fine. Cut back to the day, current day, whatever. They're at the chapel, church, place, thing in the middle of nowhere, snowstorm, scary, scary times. Adam is like intentionally, he like slammed a door to like spook her and then lied about it and said it was the wind. And again, just like some really weird passive aggressive nonsense between the two of them. There's also note at this moment that, so Adam has like car sickness. And so whenever he is going to have to be in a car, he puts his phone in the glove box. And he watched Amelia take his phone out of the glove box and then lie about it and then got mad at him for not bringing his phone. And he's like, but I know that she took it out of the glove box and I don't know why she's lying about it and being weird right now. Weird, shady, these guys hate each other. And both of them are doing some shady, shady stuff this weekend. And we just have to try to figure out like what secret thing that each of these person is trying to do to the other person. Okay. That's about all we got. And again, repeating how much that these two dislike each other. In Amelia's chapter, back to her, more reflection on how she's noticed that her husband has been being weird. And then they go look around in the kitchen and there's a bunch of like frozen meals in there. And there's also a wine cellar. And Adam is like moving around the chapel like he knows a lot more about this place than he leads on. Like he knew where the broom was and he didn't even have to look around. Like he knew exactly what closet it was in. And then knowing about the wine cellar and some other stuff that is just like she's clocking as just like kind of weird.
Editing Kaylee again, I don't think it ever gets explained actually why he knew where the dustpan was and why he knows so much about this chapel. I don't think that ever actually gets talked about. Am I losing my mind? Is that a plot hole? Or did I miss something? I don't think that gets addressed. So don't think about it too hard.
But yeah, this chapel is really creepy. The floor is like partially made of like tombstones. Like I said, it's covered in cobwebs and dust, except for this weird freezer that's like stocked with food. And then we'll get to it later, but there's like one singular bedroom upstairs that's like pristine, and then everything else is all locked up and dusty. Very weird. Again, I feel like I'm reading Never Lie by Frida McFadden, the way that those two, again, snowy, isolated area. Oh, what is it? Natalie has a sticker that says that. Yeah, dire circumstances in an isolated, snowy setting. I have that sticker on my e-reader from forever ago. Anyway, yeah, just more snowy, dusty places, I guess. This is a fun setting for a thriller. So they are getting some food together, going down to the wine cellar, getting some drinks. And along the way, we also get more of Amelia's backstory. So her parents were killed in a car accident on the way to the hospital to deliver her. Her mother was actively pregnant, driving to the hospital to give birth to her, and they get like T-boned, I think, and they die. And luckily, the car that hit them, that person was a doctor, and so they ended up like delivering Amelia. And then the doctor named her Amelia after Amelia Earhart. After Amelia Earhart, and I'm just like, what? What the are we doing? Hello? Like, so much of this is just dumping, just info dumping, crazy amounts of stuff that I'm like, hey, so again, what the fuck? What are we doing? Why are we doing this right now? If it's not clear, I'm not a huge fan of the writing style. I just don't think I vibe with this author's writing, like at all. Like it's almost like comedic how much I don't vibe with this author's writing. And so I'm having a hard time, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh, like here we go. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot I had it highlighted. So the reason that we get this info dump about her parents is because she's thinking about the dog. They have a dog with them, and how she works there, and how she rejects a bunch of applicants who are trying to adopt dogs because she really vets them carefully because she wants them to go somewhere where they will be loved. Nobody goes to a home where they won't really be loved on my watch. There are as many varieties of heartbreak as there are love, but fear is always the same, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm afraid of so many things right now. I think perhaps the real reason I'm so scared of losing or leaving my husband is because I don't have anyone else. I've never known what it's like to have a real family, and I've always been better at collecting acquaintances than making friends. On the rare occasion when I feel I might have met someone I can trust, I hold on tight, but my judgment can be faulty. There are some people in my life I shouldn't have walked away from. I should have run. I never met my parents. I know that my dad liked old cars, and perhaps that's why I do too. I find it hard to trust new things or places or people. My dad swapped his vintage MG for a brand new family car just before I was born. New doesn't always mean better. The brakes failed on the way to the hospital when my mom was in labor. A truck smashed into the driver's side of their car and they both died instantly. The doctor, who had been driving in the other direction, somehow delivered me into the world on the side of the street. He called me a miracle baby and named me Amelia because of his obsession with the aviator. She liked to fly away too. I flew from one foster home to the other until I was 18. Hey, I didn't ask. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. Yeah, because that's a completely organic way to share all of that information with me as a reader. That is such an organic, natural way to learn all of that information about this person. Totally, totally is. When we go into the following chapter, it's another like letter that she wrote to him. And this one is on the anniversary, their first anniversary, and the gift being paper. And she had folded him a paper swan for good luck for him to keep in his wallet. And that happened to be the same day that there was this author that he absolutely loved who never wanted to turn any of his stuff into a movie. His name was Henry. And Henry's agent died that day. And so she was like, hey, Adam, you should reach out to Henry because maybe his agent didn't want to do the movies, but maybe he does. Like, you should totally get in contact with him so you could try to do a screenwrite of his novels. Again, super like biggest fan of this Henry guy. He's like, oh, I mean, that's a little sketchy, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It works. Some miraculous stuff happened. There's a bunch more conversations. For the sake of brevity, I'll just tell you it worked. So he begins to do screenwrite stuff for Henry. This is the best news ever. She goes to sleep that night. And in the letter that she's writing, she says, tonight felt like the best night of our lives, but now you're fast asleep and I'm wide awake, as usual. And for the first time since we got married, I have a new secret that I have to keep from you. One I'm not sure I can ever share. We weave our lives of threads of opportunity and stitches of chance. Nobody wants a future full of holes. But I worry that if you knew Henry Winter only trusted you with his book because of me, it might be the end of us. I suppose I can't share this letter with you now either. Maybe one day. All my love, your wife, XXX. Okay. Cool. Very cool. So when we go back to Amelia in the current day, they're just like, they just keep drinking more booze and they're taking turns going down into the wine cellar, and they have some kind of tender moments where they're sitting next to each other and their hands like almost sort of touch. And it would be the first time that they've held hands in so long. And they both know that this is a make it or break it weekend for their marriage. But what he doesn't know is that if things don't go according to plan, only one of us is going home. Okay. And I don't know about you, but at this point, I mean, like almost chapter 10, I'm kind of tired of the ambiguity here. Like, I need something to start happening. And literally, like I said, as of even further in the book than this, still nothing has happened. So I feel like we're going to get to a tipping point and we're going to break through that wall, and it's just going to be like absolute shenanigans, and it's going to piss me off. But I'll try to keep a positive mind about it, okay? That was Amelia's perspective. Adam's perspective is yet again the same thing. He's like, she's just acting so weird, and I love my work so much. I'm just such a workaholic. I just love writing and screenwriting, and this stuff is so cool, and I just work. And so he pulls out his wallet and he pulls out the paper crane that she gave him from their first anniversary. And he's pulling it out and he's kind of looking at it nostalgically of when life was maybe a little bit easier for them and for their relationship. And she snatches it from his hand and throws it into the fireplace next to them. And so he dives in and he grabs it and he's like, yo, what the frick, dude? What was that about? And that was like the tipping point for him, apparently, where then he's like, if I wasn't sure of it before now, I am. Wait, if I wasn't sure before, I am now. And I'm counting down the hours until this is over once and for all. Hey, again, can we please, for the love of God, have something happen? Please have something happen. I'm so tired of reading the same words. Cut to yet another letter. This one is on their second wedding anniversary. It's called Cotton. And she's like celebrating and like congratulating him in the letter for his first successful screenplay adaptation. Whatever. She's like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you, baby. You're so great. But also you're like really, really obsessed with your work. And I think it's starting to get between us. Like, the Hollywood studio who bought it at auction paid more for those 120 pages than I could earn in 10 years. It's amazing and I'm happy for you, but I'm so sad for us now that we will see even less of each other than we used to. You don't seem to need my input anymore, like into your work at all. I understand, I really do. But she's really, really sad about all of this stuff. And he ends up buying this like really busted down house in this like really, really fancy neighborhood. And it's the only way that they would ever afford to be able to actually live in this neighborhood. And apparently it's like 2 or 3 doors down from that Henry Winter guy. So she's like, I think that's the reason that he bought this. But also this house is so beautiful and this is a great area and this is something that I've always wanted. And the only way that we could ever even afford to live in this it's Hampstead Village or something? Hampstead Village section of London. Does that mean anything to anybody? Maybe, I don't know. So she's like, the only way that we could ever live here is if we were to buy like this completely decrepit house, and then we'll just have to, it'll be like a fixer-upper situation. So now they have a house instead of these like really, really cramped studio apartments that they both have been kind of bouncing between and living together in. Now they have this like really great, beautiful home that they will have to like restore together. And she ends it by saying how lucky she is. She, feels like she's the luckiest person in the world. She, again, could have fooled me. I guess maybe 2 years into marriage, it was still okay. But I don't know, man. Didn't even seem like they liked each other from the freaking beginning, if I'm being honest. Like, there was never any chemistry between these two people. Ever. Like, they, honest to God, again, the way that they talk about each other, I'm like, did you even like each other at all? Ever? Back in current day, she's apologizing to Adam about throwing the crane into the fire. And then he ends up like holding her and they kiss. And she's like, oh my God, this feels like I'm being kissed by a stranger. This isn't my husband. Like, this is so like passionate and romantic. And like, we literally don't even hold hands anymore. This is, great. And she's like, wow, maybe there is something worth staying for, right? Maybe I shouldn't go through with this whatever plan thing, ambiguity that I've been hinting at. Maybe. And so she's like, okay, well, let's go to bed early. So let's grab a bottle of wine and go up and party, you know, have a little bit of fun time up there. When she goes to the kitchen to grab a bottle of wine, she looks out the window and there is a face staring in at her. And she screams and she drops the bottle. It shatters on the ground. Adam comes running over. He's like, WTF was that about? And she's like, there's a face. Oh my God. And he's like, I literally don't see anything. And she's like, well, no shit. When I screamed, it left. And he's like, okay, what do you want me to do about it? And so he gets their dog and they go outside to go and try and find this creepy face thing. And she's like, hey, well, how about we don't do that? We're in the middle of a snowy, isolated setting. I think we're probably safer inside of the chapel than we are going out into the elements with whoever creepy person this is. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, I don't really care. I'm going to go out there and check it. And so this is when he goes and grabs that dustpan that he like weirdly knows exactly where it is. And he's like, oh, it was just a lucky guess. Cleans up the glass from the broken bottle, grabs the dog, grabs his coat, goes outside. When he opens the door to go outside, there are several faces looking back at him and the dog. And before we know what those are, what those faces could be, we get a flashback to another letter. This time it is their 3rd wedding anniversary. This is the 4th letter in the book. The 3rd anniversary is leather. So that's the title of this chapter. And she's reflecting about how they went to this really, really fancy party and how she always loves going to these because it gives her a reason to like dress up and look nice, even though she kind of feels like an outsider and like she doesn't belong. And he's so good at schmoozing, but he has to have her at these parties because of the whole face recognition issue thing that he has going on. And so whenever people approach him, he has no idea who they are. And so she's over here like kind of whispering in his ear like, oh, this is such and such producer that's coming up right now. Because nobody knows about his, I guess it's a disability. Nobody knows about this other than her. Nobody knows what's up with him. And so she's just like whispering in his ear all night about all these different people who are coming up and talking to him. And he keeps asking constantly like, hey, is Henry Winter here? Like, I need to go talk to Henry. Like, I think that would be really cool. I want to go and talk to him. And she lies to him and says, no, Henry's not here at all. Sorry, babe. Better luck next time. Maybe at the next party he'll show up. When in reality, Henry had been at this party and she had seen him like several times, like staring at them. And so they leave without him talking to his hero. And I think he's up to like 3 adaptations at this point of him like working pretty regularly with this author and making money and stuff. And yeah, she's thinking about like, we've been married for 3 years and there's so many secrets. I wonder if you're keeping secrets from me too. Okay. Don't think that's a really good thing to be saying or feeling or thinking or doing. 3 years in? I mean, never. You should not really keep, you know what? I don't know. I'm not a marriage counselor. We're not getting into this. I'm just like, God damn. Like, again, I don't think you guys have ever liked each other or enjoyed each other's presence in any way. And so back to, like I said, the current day now, Amelia's perspective. When Adam opens the door, the like wall of faces, the several faces looking at them is a bunch of sheep. They're in the Scottish Highlands, remember? They're out in the middle of nowhere in all of these fields. They had seen this herd of sheep earlier when they were driving up there, and so they're thinking that maybe the sheep just followed them to the chapel, thinking that they had food or something. And so they kind of write it off, or Adam tries to, but Amelia, she's like, no, I think I saw a human face. Like, I don't know, this is just weird. And she's also reflecting about how, again, she feels like a poser in their current house and with everything else that he does and his parties and stuff. How she's just never been a social climber like that, and how she just always feels like she's like a work in progress or like a first draft, and he is this like really, really polished piece of art, piece of work, whatever, right? Just more tension between the two of them with it all. He like comforts her and gives her a kiss on the forehead, and she's like, it's so condescending. Okay, bitch. Like, again, we're not even like trying here to enjoy each other's company. It doesn't even seem like a couple trying to rekindle their marriage. It literally just seems like they both came here to try to kill each other, which is fine. But like, don't give me the inside of their brain perspectives and then be coy about it. You know what I'm saying? I hate when authors choose to do first person perspective, but then not tell me what these people are actually thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, shit pisses me off. But we get our first progress. We get our first plot movement, guys. I'm so proud of us. We made it. It's in chapter, I don't have chapter numbers, so where are we at? 24% in the book. We finally get something that happens. We have a new perspective, and this is about a woman named Robin. This is a third person, like omniscient. Oh no. Is it how you say that word? Am I using it correctly? Yes, godlike narrator. Yes, they know everything. They know like what she's thinking, what she's feeling, blah, blah, blah. So third person perspective. So we're adding yet like another angle to all of this. Who the frick is Robin? I'm so glad you asked. Robin has never been afraid of the dark or storms or the strange things that sometimes happen at Blackwater Chapel. But unlike the visitors, Robin is always prepared. So she's hanging out, vibing in this like dilapidated cabin thing, a little bit behind the chapel, kind of like in the woods. It's this little hidden thing that nobody knows about, but she's able to look out of her little cabin window and see the chapel and see the lights coming on and sees that the couple is there. And the whole time she's, again, also having these really ambiguous, like, I bet they'll wish that they never came here. Their luck has surely ran out. I don't know why they would be here. And then her old Land Rover has seen better days, a bit like its owner, but at least it's easy to drive and dependable, even in the worst kinds of weather. So she hops in her Land Rover and goes to the store in town. And I thought this was so funny. I'm just going to read you this part in its entirety. She goes to the store, like I said, right? She added the last few jars of baby food on the shelves to her basket. The woman behind the till paused before scanning them, as always, and Robin felt herself shrink a little under the weight of her stare. She had been buying baby food in this shop for as long as anyone could remember, but people knew better than to ask about a baby. They all knew she didn't have one. The cashier's name badge read Patty. Along with the woman's face, it made Robin think of raw burger meat, which made her feel nauseated. Patty was in her 50s, but looked older in her frumpy clothes and red apron. She had messy, boyish blonde hair, sallow skin, and dark shadows beneath her beady eyes. Robin noticed that the woman gulped a lot for no reason, which seemed only to accentuate her dropping jowls. Patty was a person who wallowed in bitchy gossip and self-pity. Robin didn't mean to judge the woman who was judging her. She tended to steer clear of rude or unkind human beings. And she had witnessed Patty being both. The woman wore her bitterness like a badge, the kind of person who writes one-star book reviews. Can you imagine spending hours upon hours to write a novel, to write a book that you're proud of, to do something, to put your pen to paper, your brain on here, 312 pages of a book, just to like describe this woman in such a horrible, horrible, unnecessary way, just to throw that in there, out of nowhere, who writes one-star book reviews. Now, one could argue her husband's kind of like in the writing industry. We're talking about like a manuscript that he had that he wanted to do stuff for. So like maybe adjacently you could argue that such a comment is related to the main male character's job. And so there is in fact a place to have such a comparison in this book. I, however, think that this is like Alice Feeney's way of like sticking it to the man of like, fuck you if you give me a 1-star. I wasn't even gonna rate this book because for a lot of these thrillers, like I don't rate a lot of things on Goodreads because I don't care enough to a lot of the time unless it's something that I really, really enjoy. I'll log it for like my whatever. But now I want to give it a 1-star review because like that feels like you're trying to bully people out of doing it now. And now you done pissed me off. Like, why are you being that way? Like, again, I go back to this fact. None of this descriptor is necessary. None of this paragraph at all was necessary. There was no reason to describe the cashier. There was no reason to add any of that to it, dude. It literally so weird to me to have that in there. So anyway, Robin buys all this stuff. She goes back home to her little weird cottage cabin thingy in the woods, eats dinner, She doesn't have electricity there. She has like a little fire going, and she's eating like canned beans on a string over the fire, and then eats the beans directly out of the can. And then when she has finished her own dinner, she opens a jar of baby food and spoons the contents into a bowl. She knows that he'll eat when he's hungry. Robin hears something then, tiny footsteps in the gloom behind her. The bowl of baby food is empty. It's been licked completely clean, and that makes her happy. Company is company in whatever form it takes. Okay, so now we're getting eerie, right? Now at least we have something that is like very clearly ooky spooky. I'm here for it, right? Like I'm locked in a little bit of figuring out like whatever the heck is going on with this Robin person. And then to kind of like continue the creepy, spooky, icky vibe, we go back to Adam and Amelia in the chapel, and now it's her turn to go down into the cellar to get like even more wine, right? Because she broke the last bottle when she had dropped it or whatever. So she goes down there to get some wine. While down there, the power goes out, and Adam, who was holding the cellar door, slams the cellar door closed. So now she is in a pitch black, musky ass cellar, and she doesn't have like her phone. She doesn't have anything on her. It's super, super scary. She starts freaking out, and she thinks she can hear her name. It's like, Amelia, 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 like echoing off the walls a little bit, seeming like it's coming from the walls. And luckily she has matches in her pocket. Don't ask. The third match I strike briefly illuminates part of the wall, and I notice all the scratch marks on the surface. It looks like someone or something once tried to claw their way out of here. I try to stay calm, remember to breathe, but then the flame burns the tips of my finger and I drop the final match on the floor. Everything is black. And then I hear it again, my name being whispered, right behind me. My breaths are too shallow, but I can't control them, and I think I'm going to faint. No matter what direction I look in, all I can see is darkness. And then I hear the sound of scratching. So she starts to have an asthma attack. She has asthma, her inhaler is in her purse, and so Adam rushes to go try to find it. He brings it to her in the cellar and, tries to like comfort her after all this stuff. He apologizes for dropping the cellar door. He whatever, got freaked out, didn't know what to do. The scratching she was hearing was their dog scratching at the cellar door, trying to like get to her as he was running around trying to find her purse and stuff. So that at least explains the scratching noises that she heard. Still don't know about the scratching in the walls. Or scratch marks on the walls, though. That's still a little spooky. But he comforts her, gives her inhaler. She's good to go. And then he just like cradles her. And he stays like this for a long time. And I feel oddly protective of her. This is Adam's POV. What I should feel is guilt, but I don't. Comforts her a little bit, right? We get the wine. And now we're finally going to go upstairs. And go to bed. When they get up there, they get to the top landing. There are 4 doors. One of them has a, like, danger, do not enter. And then the other doors are, like, blank. There's no notes or anything on them. Just the one that says, like, don't enter. Okay. So they just try to open up all the doors around them, see which one opens. Because the note downstairs said that one of the bedrooms is made up for them. Finally, one of the doors open. And when they go inside, it is like identical to their bedroom at home. It's the same like comforter and pillowcases and like setup and bed frame and everything. Looks identical to their house at home. That's so scary. And so she's like, oh, that's like creepy. And he says, oh, babe, like, you saw our bed set in that magazine that one time that had it for sale, and you literally bought everything that was in that photo from the magazine. Maybe these people had the same exact thought. Like, it's not that weird. And she's like, I mean, I guess you're not wrong, but still a little uncomfortable by the like likelihood of that really happening, Still weird. So she, kind of gets over it. She doesn't really have a choice. She goes to the bathroom to try to take a shower, but the water's not working. And so she's a little upset about it. She goes back outside into the bedroom with him. They talk a little bit more and maybe gonna get a little freaky. So she's like, oh, let me go freshen up. She goes into the bathroom and she tells him to check for monsters under the bed while she freshens up. He says, aye, aye, Captain. And they go kind of like separate ways, kind of. While she's in the bathroom, freshening up, he decides to just go adventuring. And so when she opens up the door finally, and she opens the door and she's like, trying to be like sexy or something about it. She's like wearing this like little lingerie piece. He's not in the bedroom. And so she's like, Awesome. Love that so much for me. I finally put myself out there. I put on these really nice clothes. I'm trying to have a weekend getaway with my husband. I just got comforted. We just had all this shit and I just wanted to bone. And he's not here. Awesome. I love that so much for me, is how I imagine her internal monologue is going. And so when we cut to Adam's perspective, homie was like, hey, has anybody read a danger keep out sign and not gone inside? Like, how do you not go and see what the danger is? So this dumbass decides to open up that door, and he's like, it wasn't locked anyway, so it can't be that bad. Opens it. It's a stairwell. He goes up there, and it ends up taking him to the like bell tower at the very tippy top of the chapel. And he gets up there. It's a beautiful view, but there's no safety railings or anything. And he's like, this is just kind of sketchy, kind of weird, but it's so beautiful up here. And he's like reflecting on life and again, commiserating about how much he feels that he's like missed out on in life. And then this is where we get more information and reflection from him. And then he goes on to, this is so strange. Yeah, here, I'll just read it to you. Right? I take my phone out of my pocket to take a picture. The phone my wife thinks is still at home in London. I felt sick when I saw her taking it out of the glove car compartment before we left home, then hiding it in the house. I felt even worse when she lied about where it was, blaming me for leaving it behind. She's been behaving strangely for months, and now I know I haven't been imagining it. Amelia went to see a financial advisor recently. She didn't tell me about it until after the event. She said that I spent too much time worrying about the past and that she wanted to better prepare for the future. I didn't realize at first that she meant hers, not ours. What other explanation is there for her setting up life insurance in my name and asking me to sign it when she thought I was drunk a couple of weeks ago? I had a string of girlfriends. Okay, and then there's like a little break and then it goes to my next highlight. I had a string of girlfriends who tried to change me too, but couldn't until I met my wife. For the first time in my life, I found someone who loved me for being me and didn't want to change who that was. I could finally be myself and write my own story without fear of being abandoned or replaced. Maybe that's why I loved her so much in the beginning. But marriage changes people whether they like it or not. You can't unbreak an egg when you've already whisked it into an omelet. You can't unbreak an egg when you've already whisked it into an omelet. Okay? And then he goes on to say, there are forests less shady than my wife. She might be able to fool everyone else, but I know who she really is and what she is capable of. That's why I am emotionally bankrupt these days. Any love I had left for her is spent. I'm not pretending to be blameless in all of this. I never thought I was the kind of man who would cheat on his wife, but I did, and somehow she found out. I suppose that makes me sound like the bad guy, but there's also a bad girl in this story. Two wrongs sometimes make an ugly. And I wasn't the only one who slept with someone they shouldn't have. So did Saint Amelia. What? This is so stupid. Again, I think it's just the writing is so, like, the quality of writing is, like, killing me so bad right now. And again, the ambiguity, and I'm like, I'm in your brain. Why are you being coy? Like, just say what's up. Like, just tell me what's good. I don't understand. Okay, anyway, so that's how far I am. That's where I am in the book currently. I'm at the 30% mark going into God knows what chapter number this is. I'm going to read a couple more and then I'll check back in with you and tell you what's going on. Hopefully a lot. Please. I just want something to happen. Please. I'm suffering. Oh. Okay, some time has passed. I've read 15% more of the book. Nothing's happened. Literally me, like, I was about to start beating my head against the wall, so I had to take a break to read to you and chat because I'm upset. So he's up on the bell tower having all these thoughts and whatnot, and then she eventually joins him. She goes up there. They have this little romantic, cuddly, oh my God, it's so beautiful. The full moon is gorgeous, and we can see the stars because there's no light pollution, and stargazing, blah, you know. When they get up to go back downstairs because it's snowing and cold as heck and they're freezing their little butts off, and they get up to go back downstairs, a bunch of bats fly down from the bell tower thing and kind of like fly at them. Adam gets a little freaked out by it, ends up like tripping and falling against the wall of the bell tower. It crumbles. He almost falls over it. They hear like the bricks fall from such great height and the boom of it. And it's like, oh my God, he almost died. But luckily, Amelia had grabbed his hand at the very last second and saved his life. So, crisis averted. But he is like, oh, she almost let me die. I'm done with this bitch. Is like almost a direct quote. Quite literally almost a direct quote. I saved him, but he doesn't thank me or display any hint of gratitude. My husband's expression is one I've never seen him wear before, and it makes me afraid. And so, yeah, he's like really, really upset that that she almost let him die, and that, you know, all of these like bad vibes and stuff is like coming true. And so when we change perspectives to Adam's POV, they are driving home. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And he's like, we're going home, middle of the night, driving down the road. It stopped snowing, but now it's raining really, really hard. And he's looking up in the road, like ahead of them. And there's a lady standing in the middle of the road wearing a red kimono. And he tells Amelia to stop. And instead, she like hits the gas even harder and is like accelerating, like and it says 70 miles per hour. And I said, miles per hour? I thought we were in England. Over 70 miles per hour. The freaking, the gauge on the car, the speedometer like breaks because she's going so fast, flying down the road at this lady in this red kimono until she hits her. And then he sees like the red of the kimono, and like she had red lipstick on that he saw for like a brief second right before they hit her. And then he's like, and then all the rain turns to blood and there's red everywhere and red's all that I can see. And it's like, what? What is happening? Well, it turns out, back in Amelia's perspective, this is a nightmare of his that he has quite often. This like really, really weird manifestation thing. And Amelia says, you're okay, I say, taking his clammy hand in mine. There is no woman in a red kimono. You're here with me. You're safe. Lies can heal as well as hurt. He barely spoke to me when we came down from the bell tower earlier. I don't know whether it was the shock of almost falling with the crumbling wall or the bats or too much red wine, but he got undressed, climbed into the unfamiliar bed that looks just like our own at home, and went straight to sleep without a word. So she says this, and then almost immediately after acknowledges that she's taking out a pad and pencil to write down all of it as soon as possible afterward, because it isn't just a dream or a nightmare, it's a memory. So then I'm like, I guess when you're comforting him and you're like, oh, there is no woman with a red kimono, but there was. You're saying that it's a memory, so like that's not even like an accurate thing to say. Like, yes, obviously the red kimono woman isn't here in the room with us. She's not here right now, but like the way that this gets talked about is like as if she's like completely, as if he's like completely making this up, and then almost immediately backtracks it to like, oh yeah, this is actually a real thing. And Adam sighs, leans back on the bed, and tells me everything he can remember before the edges of the dream fade too much to see. The nightmares always begin the same way, with the woman in the red kimono. Despite the attire, she is not Japanese. Adams finds it hard to describe her face. He struggles with features in dreams the same way he does in real life. But we know that she is a British woman in her early 40s, around the same age I am now. She's attractive. He always remembers her red lipstick in the exact same shade as her kimono. She has long blonde hair like me too, but hers is shorter, shoulder length. He doesn't say her name tonight, but we both know what it is. Again, this like, I'm getting pissed off. There's a teenage boy in the nightmares too, and he's terrified. Adam saw it happen. The woman, the car, the accident, not just in the dream, in real life. It was the night his mother died. He was 13. Adam couldn't recognize the person in the car almost 30 years ago when it mounted the pavement and collided with his mom as he watched. But that doesn't mean that he didn't know who they were. It could have been a friend, a teacher, a neighbor. All faces look the same to him. Imagine not knowing if someone you knew was responsible for killing someone you loved. No wonder he struggles to trust people, even me. If my husband didn't suffer from prosopagnosia, sure, his whole life might have unfolded differently, but he wasn't able to describe who he had seen to the police. Not then, not now. And he still blames himself. His mother was walking his dog when it happened because he was too lazy to do it. So then I'm like, okay, if the mom's walking the dog because he's lazy, Is his mom the woman in the red kimono? Why would he have seen it? And yes, she is the woman in the red kimono, because, plot twist, his mom is a sex worker. And Amelia goes on to describe this and about how he puts his mother on a pedestal and like doesn't remember that she would do all of this stuff, or he doesn't like piece it together that his mom was a worker in this way, and like idolizes her, and how the pedestal is like broken and she shouldn't be, and how he compares every woman in his life to her. And it's just really, really weird. Again, the way that women get talked about in this book is really, really weird, and I don't understand why. And then she goes on to say, I know exactly why, and when our marriage started to unravel, life is unpredictable at best, unforgivable at worst. My mind feels fuzzy, but then I remember what woke me because I hear it again. There's a noise downstairs. So again, all this just like ambiguous little hinting at something. And then she comforts him and they go back to sleep. And then she wakes up a couple hours later and yeah, she hears noises downstairs. And so she gets really, really freaked out. And we go to Robin's perspective, and Robin, she's going in the chapel. She can't sleep either, and so she decides that she's going to mosey her little way on over there and go inside of the chapel. We also learn a little bit more information that she's like completely off the grid, and how she had cut up all of her credit cards a long time ago because she didn't want anybody to find her. So yeah, she had a Land Rover, and yeah, she used to be, you know, a person functioning in society, but whatever happened to make her go into this secret cabin in the woods thing, right? So she's inside of this house and she's listening to these people. The visitors won't be able to leave when they want to either. Not that they know that yet. It's impossible to not feel a tiny bit sorry for them. Robin reaches their snow-covered car and stops for a moment. She recognized the man as soon as he got out, and the memory of it winds her. She didn't know if she'd ever see him again. Wasn't sure if she wanted to. He's older now, but she rarely forgets a face and could never forget his. Her mind wanders back in time, and she thinks about what happened when he was a boy. What he saw and what he didn't. The story is as tragic now as it was then, and Robin wonders if he still has the nightmares about the woman in red. She thinks the time has come for him to be told the truth, but he isn't going to like it. People rarely do. Okay. I quite literally, that's like all I can say. I have this other highlight from this chapter that says, life is like a game where pawns can become queens, but not everyone knows how to play. Some people stay pawns their whole lives because they never learn to make the right moves. This is just the beginning. Nobody has played their cards yet because they didn't know they were being dealt. Robin takes a key from her coat pocket and quietly lets herself inside the chapel. From another anniversary, and this particular one is about her and Adam's journey to try to become pregnant. They're having a lot of trouble. They end up doing like an IVF thing. There's also like brief discussion of like a miscarriage and just generally just negative experiences with trying to get pregnant. The next couple of letters kind of talk about that and some of the like animosity that she's developing because he's missing all of these doctor's appointments, and definitely seems like he's significantly more involved with his writing and his job rather than being there to support her and to help her through this, like these tragedies and this like really difficult time in their lives. And when we cut back to current day Amelia, she had heard the noise downstairs, right? And so she wakes up in this moment and she thinks that somebody's like about to break into the room. And so she gets up as quickly as she can and sneaks into the bathroom and locks the door and tries to like hide herself against the wall to this person who's breaking in. Turns out it was just Adam. He was downstairs getting himself a glass of water. He comforts her, and then he's like, oh, babe, just lay back down and take another sleeping pill. She started taking sleeping pills a while ago. It's prescribed, whatever. She already took one, and he's like, oh, just take a second one. And so she does, ignoring the label warning, ignoring all of this stuff. She takes it because she's like, if we're going to be leaving in the morning, which is our plan because this is all creepy and weird here, I need to get some rest. Okay, so she takes it. They lay down together. He pulls her into him and cuddles her, and it's the first time that he has done that in like as long as she can remember. It's been so long. And she's like, if nothing else, this trip already has brought us together. And then when we go into like Adam's perspective, I pretend to be asleep and wonder how long I'll have to hold her before I can get back to what I was doing downstairs. Amelia has always struggled to sleep, but the pills help and her breathing changes when they work. So all I have to do is wait and listen. The same way I did a little earlier. The second pill should do the trick. It normally does. Even when I secretly crush them and put them in her tea. She's a very anxious individual. It's for her own good. As soon as she's asleep again, I slide out from beneath the sheets, take the candlestick from beside the bed, and leave the room as quietly as possible. I don't really need it to light my way. I know where I'm going, but make a mental note to avoid the noisiest floorboards. I know which ones creak. Okay, we'll just keep it going. He also, in the rest of this chapter, he goes on to describe his little sneaking around the house. It was me who turned off the power when she was down in the crypt earlier. She doesn't understand fuse boxes. All I had to do was flick a switch and drop the trap door. I forgot about the generator outside, but I've turned that off now too, and we won't be getting the power back on anytime soon. I feel like I'm just... I don't think I have felt such a waste of my time. I think this might be the most wasted I have ever felt my time be. Not for like, interesting enough, right? It, like I said, it's repetitive. Then we have another flashback chapter. This is from their 5th anniversary, writing to Adam, still upset about the pregnancy loss stuff. She took the day off to celebrate this anniversary with him, but rock, paper, scissors is finally getting attention. And so he's wanting to go and meet up with a producer to go and talk about it on the day of their anniversary. And she's like really upset about this, but he's like, oh, I promise I'll make it up to you. I'll make it up to you, blah, 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 whatever. She's like, okay. She's like really, really, again, upset, but can't really do much about it. And so she goes off to a play. He like bought her a ticket to keep her distracted for the day while he goes off and does this other thing. There's a fire at the theater. So the play gets canceled. She goes home early. When she gets home, she hears laughter of another woman. There is a gorgeous, gorgeous actress who is in her 20s that is like at their kitchen table. And her husband, Adam, is like, oh, babe, what are you doing home so early? The way I would come in swinging. She can't really come up with any words. Because, I mean, how do you even begin to address this situation of your husband on your anniversary sneaking around and having this like gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous girl in her early 20s after you've been struggling with all of this stuff. Turns out he had told said actress, she's the one that like he's trying to get her to play in his rock, paper, scissors movie thing because she's like an up and coming actress and he's like, it'll really take off if she's involved with it. It's a really big deal. It's nothing romantic. Like I need her on this project. And also, apparently he had told this actress about how he had never made anniversary dinner. And so she was like, well, that's unacceptable. And so then that's why they're at the house now, is she's helping him make dinner, supposedly, apparently. I don't know. They go on to make dinner and have dinner. The 3 of them, she invites the actress to stay and hang out with them. She does. And they vibe and they hang out. They eat some food. Everybody's happy, I guess. And, you know, that night when they're going to bed, he verifies with her, like, I do love you, babe. You're my MIP. You're my most important person. I love you so much. Okay. We cut back to current day. We are in Robin's point of view. She has broken into the chapel. She's been sneaking around. She thought that the 2 would be asleep. Obviously, they weren't because the guy came down twice. And then he went back upstairs. He came downstairs, did whatever he needed to do, and then went back up. And so now Robin is free to roam around. And after that, she let herself into the secret room. Secrets are only secrets for the people who don't know them yet. They can morph into lies when shared, and like caterpillars turning into butterflies, beautiful lies can fly far, far away. There is nothing Robin doesn't know about this old chapel. She used to live here. Okay. So, she goes into the secret room, does whatever she does, looks at whatever she's looking at, and she reaches inside her pocket for the key to lock the secret room behind her, but her fingers find something else instead, providing her with a small wave of much-needed comfort, her favorite red lipstick. It's worn down to a flattened stump. She remembers the first time she used it. It rained that night when she got badly hurt, but it reinforced the importance of not trusting anyone except herself. The best lessons are often the ones we don't realize we're being taught. The storm outside might have stopped for now, but nobody is leaving here tomorrow morning. After what Robin has seen and heard, she's fairly certain that at least one of them will never leave this place again. Talking about Amelia and Adam. So, the red lipstick, raining, having a bad accident, you're kind of thinking, is Robin Adam's mom? Did Adam's mom not really die? Not that he would know, because he can't recognize faces. Just like, again, just beating you over the freaking head with this idea that he can't recognize faces. He has no idea who the people around him are. Like, is that who Robin is? Why did she know him as a boy or know him so long ago and like worried about like instantly recognizing him and all this other stuff? Like, what are we doing here, guys? Why is she living in the cabin and not still in the chapel? What's the story there? Why does not Henry, who are we talking about? Adam? Why does Adam know the chapel so well, right? We have a lot of questions. We've got a lot of weird pieces going on. Like I said, the general sense of the book, the vibe of the book, the scene that we're setting is good. The way I'm being told the story makes me want to do things I can't say out loud on YouTube, right? It makes me not want to continue reading, that's for sure. But I can't stop. I can't stop at all because now I have to freaking know. This is so fun reading this live with you guys because I'm like, we get to experience it together because I genuinely have no idea what's about to happen. So I'm going to go read a little bit more and then we'll come back. I think we're at the 45% mark. Good God. Okay, I'm going to try and read a fat chunk of this and then we'll come back. More time has passed. Another 15% of the book has gone by and a lot has happened, surprisingly, with still no answers. Still nothing at all, actually, which is incredibly frustrating. So after Robin has this monologue thing going on, we cut to the following morning. Amelia's perspective, their dog is missing. Their big old black mutt dog is missing. They scurry around the house trying to find him. They can't. Keeping in mind, there's literally only like the main big doors. That's the only set of doors in and out of the chapel. So really, really scary. They don't know what to do. This stretches over the course of like 4 chapters, by the way. They're searching all around the chapel. She wakes Adam up telling him about the dog. And then Adam does his look around the chapel trying to find said dog. And then he ends up looking in the crypt, right? In the little wine cellar thing from earlier. And when he opens up the door, there is a pamphlet on the floor that says the history of Blackwater Chapel, right, where they're staying. And he's like, that's weird. That was definitely not there last night. And so he comes out of this and he's like distracted by this piece of paper. And he says, hey, Amelia, I found this, which is like really, really weird. But I also found this other thing that's really weird that like I need to tell you about. I didn't want to tell you last night because I thought it was really creepy, but like it's really strange. And she's like, okay, like spill it. What's going on? In one of the kitchen drawers, there is a bunch of crumpled up newspapers about the actress that we had just talked about in the previous letters when she was writing about him. The actress that came over and crashed their anniversary and made him cook a dinner and then they all hung out and vibed or whatever. There's a bunch of articles about her. Well, that's really weird. So then they read the pamphlet about the chapel. And apparently it's like used to like burn witches there. And it was like really, really bad vibes and like definitely haunted and not good. And talking about how people, whenever they go into the wine cellar thing, that they hear voices and it's really, really cold and they hear their names being called. Oh, awesome. Also goes on about how like it has just been this like really, really creepy thing. It's from like 820. What is it? It's not AD. What do they go by now? Like CE or something? Super, super old. And then also, pretty much like everybody who's worked on it is dead. The previous priest fell from the bell tower and died. Like, it's just bad vibes. And so yet again, he's like, hey, so why are we here? Like, why did somebody invite us here or like give us a thing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And she's like, I don't know. I don't really care. But like, we have to find the dog. Like, I'm angry that somebody is trying to scare us right now. Like, we have to find Bob is the name of their dog. So they try to bundle up, but they don't have the proper weather gear for this like snowstorm that's still going on. Like when they open the door, the snow is like literally above her knees and just not adequately dressed. And they're like, dude, our dog literally hates the rain. Like he doesn't even go outside in the rain. There's no way he's out wandering around in the snow right now. And also we would see his footprints, and also the door was locked, so it doesn't make any sense. I don't know where he is. Like, what are we gonna do? And so he's like, well, hey, there's that one weird like cottage thing that we saw in the woods, like down away down the road or whatever. Like maybe somebody is there. Maybe they've seen something, or maybe we can go and ask for some help, because they don't have cell phone reception. They don't have power or water, or like because the pipes are frozen or anything. Keep in mind, again, it's Adam's fault that they don't have power, but the whole cell phone connection thing kind of sucks. And speaking of cell phone connection, when Adam went into the crypt, he pulled out his cell phone to use the flashlight on it to look for the dog. And so now she knows that he has his phone. And so this starts a whole argument between them where she's like, hey, WTF, like, why'd you lie to me? And he's like, why'd you lie to me? And blah, 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 blah. And they start having this little bickery back and forth. But finding the dog takes precedence. So they get over it and they go to this cottage to try and find the dog. When they get there, nobody responds. And then he's like walking around and he realizes like there's smoke coming out of the chimney, so somebody must be inside. So he goes around to the back of this little cottage and he looks inside, and there is what he describes as like a medium build older woman surrounded by like hundreds of candles with a white rabbit on her lap. And it looked like maybe she was doing like witchcraft or seance or something, and it was really, really scary. And when he knocked on the window to try to get her attention, she walked over to him. And I'm pretty sure it said like making full eye contact, which doesn't make any sense given the fact that I thought he couldn't like see faces, because it always talks about how jumbled all the faces are. But walks over to him, looking at him the entire time, and then closes the curtains right in front of his face. Ah, that's so scary. It's so scary. They talk a little bit more on this woman's doorstep, and then they decide that they're going to climb the hill next to them and get to the very tippy top of the hill to try to get cell phone reception. And I kind of feel like we lost the plot, because I thought we were still looking for the dog. What are we doing here? But that's the plan. So they start trekking their way up the mountain, and we go into Robin's perspective. And married couples always think that they know their partners better than anyone else, especially when they have a couple of years under their belts. But that doesn't mean it's true. Robin knows things about both of them that she is certain they don't know about each other. And we get into a part now where there's 5 words in this paragraph that are italicized that I'm looking at right now. And that'll become like a recurring thing for quite a bit more of this book, where there is like multiple words in every single paragraph that are italicized, which is, I think, excessive in my personal opinion. So anyway, she saw him looking at the rabbit on her lap with a mixture of horror and disgust on her face. But Oscar the rabbit is her only companion these days. Like her, he is a creature of habit and always tends to jump on the armchair after his breakfast of grass, fresh vegetables, or when the snow comes, tinned jars of baby food. At least he's real, unlike the characters Adam Wright makes up inside his head and spends all his time with. Mr. Wright, I'm trying to emphasize the words italicized here, right? Mr. Wright is sometimes wrong. Robin will not be judged by these people. She crawls toward the front of the cottage on all fours, avoiding the windows. She needs to know whether the visitors have gone yet. There's so much to do and so little time, but they haven't gone. Okay. And also, I need to highlight this particular part so you can see this too. This is probably the 3rd or 4th time where there has been something that I think is an editing error. I'm holding my phone up to the screen. So she's so little time, but they haven't gone. So she slides to blah, 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 blah. But it says, but they haven't period gone period. So she slides down. I'm like, oh, what? Okay. It's just an odd grammatical thing, or like punctuation issue thing going on here, that this is like I said, the 3rd or 4th time it's happened in the book, where I'm like, was there an editor? Surely there was, but like, okay. Anyway, so she slides down to sit with her ear against the sealed up letterbox. Still holding the rabbit, stroking its fur, it's surreal to hear them talking about her on the other side of the door. They might not know who she is, but Robin knows who they are. She invited them here after all. Even if they don't realize it yet, they will soon enough. Oh. After they are gone and they're going up the hill for a little while, Robin slips a red leather collar inside of her pocket and then goes toward the chapel because, like she said, there's so little time and there's so much to do. And she knows what happened to the dog because she did it. Hold on, how is this? Let me find the exact highlight here. Robin slips a red leather collar inside her pocket, then heads off toward the chapel alone. She knows what happened to the visitor's dog because she took him. But Robin doesn't feel guilty about all that, even though she used to own a dog herself and knows how upset they must be. Bad people deserve the bad things that happen to them. Okay. Okay. I'm just confused. All right, we'll keep going. Another flashback perspective from the 6th anniversary, and October is the name of the actress lady. She lent them her like French countryside house so that they can go and celebrate their anniversary here. And it's an incredibly long chapter talking about this little romantic getaway that they had and how awesome that it was. And it was a good experience, and how his job is doing really, really well. And they're in the middle of like producing rock, paper, scissors into a TV show. And it's like his career is finally taking off and everything is going incredibly well. Their relationship, yeah, it's a little bit distant, but they're trying, right? They're trying to get through it. Adam, right? He goes to the bathroom or he's taking a shower or whatever, and she decides to be a little nosy girl and ends up going through the mail. And on the mail, it is addressed to R. O'Brien, right? October's name is October O'Brien. And so the wife says, hey, is October married? Who is R. O'Brien? And Adam says, October is just her stage name. Okay, are you tracking? So we don't know what October O'Brien's real name is. But the R, you're thinking, is that Robin? Is that who we're talking about right now? Is that what the linkage is? Is she stalking them and she's at this chapel and like gonna, I don't know. What's up? What are we doing here, right? So it's kind of where we're left, a little bit of mystery here of who our October is. And the gift of iron for the 6th anniversary, she gives Adam a really heavy iron skeleton key thing. And when she gives it to him, she wants to tell him what it's for. She wants to open up to him about her past and about everything. But she can't, and she doesn't want to ruin their future with her past, and so she changes her mind and doesn't. And so he just gets this like weird key for their anniversary with no additional explanation. We cut back to current day. They're on top of this really tall hill, right, trying to get cell phone reception. Doesn't work. The weather's getting worse. And when they look down at the chapel, they see somebody walking inside of the chapel. We know it's Robin because we're getting her perspective as well. But Adam and Amelia, witnessing this, start freaking out. And so Adam starts running down the hill to get to the chapel. It's like a 30-minute walk down this hill. Like incredibly, I don't know how they're not like getting frostbite right now. We got snow up to your knees and you're poorly dressed and you're out here for at least an hour if we're going up and down this hill. Like the math ain't mathin' for a lot of this, but that's fine. We'll revisit that exact phrase in a second. So he decides to bolt down the hill to try to get to the chapel to see who in the hell just went inside of it. And also, like we said, middle of nowhere, no reception, nothing going on. So they're going to have to go back to the chapel anyway to at least build a fire to try to survive the night because snowed in, right? If we got snow that tall with their little old ass car, she's not going to be able to get out of here. So they're going to have to hunker down for another night. Cut to Robin's point of view. Obviously, we know she's the one that walked into the chapel. And she knows that she has at least 30 minutes to waste before either of them will be able to reach her. And so she goes snooping around. And she goes into their bathroom and dumps out some of their like toiletry products. She scrubs the toilet with their toothbrushes. She finds Amelia's inhaler in the bedside drawer and takes a puff of it. And then like keeps hitting the little thing on it to like make all of the like medicine go out of the inhaler, so it's like ineffective anyway, and then still puts it in her pocket and steals her inhaler. What else does she do? She does like a couple other things that are just like, oh my God. And then she finds the crane in Adam's wallet. So she takes Adam's wallet, takes every card out of it, and like rubs her thumb all weird over his name, and then takes the crane out of it. And like him having it, knowing that cranes are good luck, makes her hate him a little less. And then she tucks it back into his wallet and puts everything back where it was. She also steals like Amelia's moisturizer or something. There's a note about how she hasn't like washed her face or used actual skincare in years, and it felt so good that she took it. And you're just kind of like, okay, so what's the point now? And then she goes upstairs and goes up into the bell tower to start ringing the bell. And she also makes their bed. I'm like trying to think, I'm like, it was literally the weirdest chapter ever. Amelia's perspective, coming down the mountainside, she's trying to run and she hears the bell and she's like, I don't know what is going on. Nobody else has come out of the building though. So obviously the person we saw go inside is in there, and so is Adam. And so I'm really, really concerned and I'm worried about what's going on. So she tries to rush down there, starts to have an asthma attack because of everything going on and running and blah, blah, blah. And can't breathe, goes upstairs, can't find her inhaler, even though she knows that that's where she put it. It's not there. And then she can't find Adam. And so she's like screaming his name, trying to find him. And turns out he is in that secret room. The one that we referenced before about how a secret's a secret when nobody knows what it is, or whatever the fuck that quote was earlier. Dude, some of these words, some of these sentences, bro, are like just so bad. And, yeah, so the secret room is like a library, like study. Like it was hidden behind one of the many, many bookshelves that's like downstairs. And you're thinking, we're in a chapel. Why are there bookshelves? I don't know. I think it was like converted into a house thing, obviously, at some point, but it's still chapel vibes. You can still smell the Bible pages and the blind faith, I think is how it was described. But obviously there's like bedrooms and kitchens and wine cellars and studies and like blah, blah, blah. I don't know. What do you want from me? It's a converted house chapel thingy majiggy, okay? So anyway, behind one of the many, many bookshelves, it's like it was like a secret door was behind it. And so the door is open, and inside of that door is like another like study room where there's even more books. And in the middle of it, there's a like one singular desk, and there's this giant stained glass window behind it. And it's very, very beautiful and like immaculate and studious and whatever. She sees the light coming out of this room. So she sees it and she follows Adam's voice. That's where he's at. He's sitting at the lone desk in the middle of this like really weird, beautiful, ornate room. And he says, I've seen this room before. I couldn't think of where it was at first. And then I noticed this, he says, tapping the shiny wooden desktop. I've seen a picture of this study in a magazine, albeit a few years ago, and I remember who the article was about. You say that you won a weekend away by chance in a raffle, but that can't be true. It's all too much of a coincidence. I know who this property belongs to now. To which I'm like, hold on a second, bro. Hold on a second, bro. You knew the stairs. You knew the creaky stairs, which ones to avoid. You knew where the dustpan was. You brought her here to sabotage her in some way and turn off the generator, but then you didn't know who owned the property? But you didn't know about the secret room? But you're surprised that you're here? What the fuck is going on? Okay, and I know that's kind of the point of a book. I'm aware that is like part of the whatever you want to call it, okay? I understand that. And so we then got to another letter, and this is the 7th anniversary letter. And this was so long, bro. Literally so long. I was like trying to scroll through this thing so fast. The 7th anniversary letter opens with the news that October O'Brien is dead. It was apparent of like her taking her own life. She was only 30 years old. They were in the middle of filming the rock, paper, scissors TV adaptation thing or adaptation. I still don't know which one's which. Don't tell me. And, it was a real tragedy. Okay, so our O'Brien, her first name was Rainbow, not Robin. So that's not who we're dealing with. So we've ironed, or like whatever, that out. She's not, Robin is not October. Robin is that still, could that still be his mom? Is that where we are? Is I don't know what's happening. But it's just reflecting more on their life and like how busy everything is. And they're at their anniversary dinner. And again, just like more and more, like he's been grieving. He's been incredibly busy with the TV thing, and recording all the stuff in LA. And she was still in London. And it was really putting a strain on their marriage and stuff. And then after her death, he was grieving. And along the way, the Henry Winter guy that we've talked about forever ago reached back out to him to do another adaptation screenplay thing of one of his novels. Adam said yes. Obviously, he was very incredibly excited about this. And she was pissed. She was like, you literally do not spend time with me. You literally are so checked out of everything. I need you here. Like, I need you to chill the F out. I don't know what your infatuation is with this man, but it's like borderline obsessive and disgusting. He's not your dad. He's not your surrogate father, and he's not your friend. You need to get your shit together and like be a part of my life and stop putting writing over me. And they had this like huge blow up fight in the middle of this restaurant, saying all of these things. And him saying about how much he respects Henry's work and blah, blah, blah. And just like this whole blow up about Henry. At the end of the letter, we find out that Henry was like 2 tables over at the restaurant watching them and staring at them the entire time that they had this loud argument about it. And not that Adam would know. Again, just like he can't recognize people, in case you're stupid and forgot, okay? Again, it's like literally every single, at least twice a chapter, we're reminded of his face blindness problem here. And so they have this really big blow up argument thing. And then they go back to their hotel room. When we got back to our math-themed room, things weren't adding up. What things weren't adding up? Nothing. I ate both of the chocolates on our pillows while you were in the shower, even though I hate dark chocolate. I guess I wanted to hurt you back somehow, as childish as that sounds. And then she starts texting a coworker of hers who's been talking to her like every now and then, kind of like through the trip, like checking in on her, making sure she's okay, because they're on this like 2-week glamorous, semi-glamorous vacation in the US. They're in New York right now. And so her friend from work is messaging her. And she's like, it was the first time that like I felt seen and somebody actually like reached out and cared about me and blah, blah, blah. And so she ended up sending them a selfie. And I think this is where we're starting to get the spiral thing that we mentioned previously about Amelia cheating on him, possibly, right? Like we're trying to like tie up some loose ends. Maybe we're like laying some foundation there. Maybe we're getting to some closure, I guess is what I'm hoping for. Because again, 60% of the way through the book. So that's where I'm at right now, where I'm like, okay, we gotta start like tightening some of this, right? Like some of this has got to start coming together. So I'm going to try and power through the rest of this book really quick, and I'll see you soon. Every time I come back and I click record on this, I feel more defeated. I'm at 76% right now, and I'm pausing before I learn anything else because I don't want to ruin the experience. So let's get into it. We're now back to current day, Robin's perspective, and she is just hiding inside of the chapel, listening to Adam and Amelia find this stuff and realize that where they're at exactly. Okay, cool. And then she's sitting there thinking, everyone makes mistakes. Sometimes the most innocent seeming people turn out to be guilty of horrific things. And sometimes people who do bad things are just bad people. But there's always a reason why a person behaves the way that they do. Adam is realizing that this is Henry's house because he saw it in a magazine. It was like supplied by the author. He was a super reclusive guy, like very, very private with everything, but he had shared this with like this particular magazine or whatever. And so realizing that that's where they are, he starts getting pissed off at Amelia, and he's like, did you set this up? Are you working with Henry? Like, why would Henry invite us out here? This doesn't make, like, none of any of this stuff makes any sense. And then she's like, why would I stage this? You're the one that knows the guy. Like, you're the one that's worked with him for a freaking decade. Like, what do you want me to do about it? Why are you looking at me for? And also, why would he invite us out here and do all of this weird stuff and steal our dog and try to scare us? I think he might be upset with me ever since I said I didn't want to adapt his books anymore. I stare at him, taken aback. You did what? I don't understand. I just decided that maybe it was time to focus on my own work. You didn't tell me. I couldn't bear the inevitable I told you so's. He didn't take the news well at all. It was like a spoiled child throwing a tantrum. I'd had Henry Winter on too high of a pedestal my whole life. I looked up to him even when he looked down on me. But then I saw him for who he was for the first time, a selfish, spiteful, and lonely old man. I take in his words, processing what they mean for him and for us. When was this? A while back. I tried to keep things friendly, but then he ignored my calls and I haven't spoken to him for a long time. His books were all he had, but if there's one thing I've learned in this life, I have learned from life as well as fiction, it's that nobody is ever just a hero or a villain. We all have it in us to be both. Which is like so dramatic, dude. Literally so dramatic. And so, realizing all this, they're like, okay, so for real, this guy's a little wackadoodle. We've got to find our dog. And in the middle of thinking about that, they hear barking outside and they're like, oh shit, it is Bob. Let's go get him. And so they run out into the snow, but they don't see the dog. But while looking for the dog, they see a man with a hat and a tweed jacket, which is like Henry's like default go-to outfit. And there's like a cane and everything. And this like weird guy, assumably Henry, is like staring off into the woods, kind of like at the edge of this little clearing. And they're like, Henry? And they go over to approach him or confront him or see what the heck is going on. And then they realize it's like a snowman scarecrow type situation. And it's not a real man. It's just a snowman that's dressed like Henry. But this definitely wasn't here a minute ago. So that's like really creepy. And it has like a little carrot nose and button eyes and everything. And it's like half melted and like melting off of its face. And it's like horrifying. And so then they're like, okay. But not only that, like right by the snowman, you know how earlier we talked about like the tombstones that were in the church thing? Well, there's also like a cemetery, which is where they're in the middle of. And you could barely see the tops of the headstones because of how tall the snow is. But one headstone is like meticulously cleared and it stands out really bad against the snow because it's like a really dark headstone and it looks like a brand new one and all the other ones are like old and, you know, falling apart. And so he looks at this cleared off headstone and it's for Henry Winter, father of one, author of many, 1937 to 2018. We're in 2020, current day, by the way. 2 years since this man has passed away. So double, triple, what the fuck? But also on top of the headstone was the dog's collar. Bob's collar was on top of the headstone. Okay. So Adam, seeing all of this, says, hey, we need to go inside. Like whatever is happening right now is really scary, right? If somebody has our dog, somebody went into that chapel, somebody obviously built a snowman and cleared off this gravestone that was definitely not cleared off earlier, and there's a lot of really creepy bad stuff happening. We have to go inside. So they do. They shut the door, he locks it, he puts one of the pews, because again, it's a converted church, house, chapel thing, but then there's still pews around. Anyway, he like puts it in front of it, they barricade the front door, and they're talking. And he's like, well, if Henry's dead, he couldn't be doing this, or maybe he faked his death. And Amelia is like, well, did he have any friends or family? And Henry said, and Adam's like, no, he didn't have anybody. Like he, like I said, was a complete hermit, a complete recluse. Like all he had was me. I'm the only one that he talked to. He's like, okay, well, I mean, obviously he didn't like bury himself out in the yard. Like he has somebody that did something. And also, didn't he literally just publish a book like a couple months ago? If he died 2 years ago, that doesn't make any sense. And also, the gravestone said father of one. So what are we doing here, right? At least Amelia calls all this stuff out, thank God, because I thought we were just going to be stupid about all of this. And so they're like, okay, wow, this is just getting worse and scarier by the second. Actually, we need a GTFO, right? So they go out to the car. They grab like a shovel and an axe. There's like a whole like room of tools. And so they go in there and they grab some stuff to try to like dig out her car. When they do, and they dig out the first tire, it's slashed. And she's like, well, maybe we ran over something. Like, what about the other tires? And they go and they dig out the next tire. That one is also slashed. And they're like, oh, somebody really doesn't want us to leave. Go back into the chapel. You don't really have a choice. What are you going to do? And when we get Robin's perspective, she's back at her cottage in the woods. She has Bob, the dog, with her. He's safe. Thank God. Praise be. They're hanging out in the chapel, and she is like reflecting on life and thinking about everything and how Henry Winter, he does own the chapel, by the way, which if we're doing the math here, Robin has talked about how she lived in the chapel. Is Robin Henry's daughter? That's kind of where I'm at currently.
Super editing, Kaylee. What I'm about to tell you from Robin's perspective is a flashback. Like we said, we're sorry. I even have my mouth guard in. That's how behind the scenes editing we are right now. We get this Robin chapter, but it is a flashback from 2 years ago of when she initially like gave up her life and moved to the chapel / cottage / thing. So I don't really specify that, but this is a flashback to 2 years ago.
Henry calls her and says, hey, I'm dying. Show up or don't, but don't tell anybody. And so she goes back home. She goes to this chapel and she talks to him. And like, where she like picks him up from the hospital or something and then like takes him home. And they have like this really, really long conversation where he's like, hey, you know, I have all this stuff going on. I have a will. I know what I want. Like, here's all the plans laid out and here's like the timeline for all this stuff. But I need somebody to like execute all of this stuff that I'm asking. And I'm asking you to do it for me. And gives her this responsibility. In doing so, he has a pet rabbit, the one that we talked about before that she named Oscar. Turns out that was actually Henry's pet rabbit, and he had named it Robin. And Robin is also his password for his laptop and his password for some other stuff. So again, we're like, it's his daughter. They have a complicated relationship. Whatever. He's, I don't know, calling her back. And he then takes his own life. He like pops a bunch of pills while she steps out of the room for a second doing something that he asked. She comes back in and he has like his will and the other stuff in front of him. And she decides to not really honor a lot of the stuff that was in his will, and one of which was being cremated. And instead she decides to bury him in the cemetery out back because, I mean, that's awfully convenient. And she doesn't want anybody to know that she's there or that he's dead or anything. And so she goes back to the cemetery, she buries him, uses his credit card to order a headstone online, and then uses his tools to carve like his headstone and then puts it there, and then won't spend any more of his money ever again for whatever reason, even though in the will she's like not obligated. What do you say? Like he gave her a bunch of money in the will and he's made a bunch of money. I don't know, dude. It's kind of a weird situation. But she doesn't tell anybody that he's dead, doesn't do any of that, and cancels the house cleaner that was supposed to come out. And then otherwise he was a recluse, right? And so nobody would know that he's dead other than the house cleaner that she has canceled. And also, turns out the chapel is not haunted in any way. All that stuff, that pamphlet is completely made up. He made it up so that he wouldn't be bothered and nobody would come and like harass him basically or know that he lived there, or you know what I mean, just like in general, so that nobody would come and bother him and the whole town would just like stay away. Okay, I guess that's kind of interesting. And then obviously she adopts the rabbit named it Oscar. Okay, awesome. Okay, so continuing on, we have their 8th wedding anniversary letter. And in this one, she's, again, kind of like getting concerned about their marriage and his focus on his career and how it's not going very well. And she comes home one day and Henry is in her house. Henry and Adam are having alcohol and like, you know, just like kind of chit-chatting, and she's really upset about it. And so she decides to leave immediately to go and visit her friend that she's been hanging out with more and more, that we've been like referencing. And she talks about it in this, about how close her friendship is and how she just disappears for a weekend to go and hang out with them. And Adam doesn't care or notice because he's like too busy with his own job and all this other stuff. And they're just like slowly growing apart, and growing apart to the point that whenever she does actually come back and they talk about their anniversary, she's like, hey, how about we play rock, paper, scissors to see if we stay together? Hey, we've been making this like this, like inside joke for a lot of this book about rock, paper, scissors. How about we play it, and if I lose, we get divorced? Oh my God. Oh my God. They stay together. It's whatever. Current day. Amelia and Adam, realizing all the tires are slashed, go back inside. They go back to the study and they accuse each other of what's going on. Both of them are like, hey, WTF, why are we here? What's happening? Like, I don't understand. He goes back to that little desk thing, the one that's in the middle of the study, which like supposedly the history of it is that it was like Agatha Christie's desk, and he had bought it at like an estate sale or something, and there's a bunch of little drawers on it, and he's written all of his books there and blah, 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 whatever. It's a special desk. Adam goes to the desk, and there's 10 little drawers on it, and he opens them. First one's an origami bird. The next drawer is a little wooden carving. The next drawer is a bunch of pennies. It's the 10 little trinket gifts. The other one's a key. It's the 10 little trinket gifts that his wife got him on all of their anniversaries. And so he looks at Amelia and he says, what is this? And she says, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? You don't know what's happening? What do you mean? So, nothing gets answered because we get another flashback. In this time, it's their 9th wedding anniversary, and literally just talking about how they have drifted so far apart and how, she wants to go to marriage counseling, and, they were literally just like, she took up reading so that they could like be alone together type of thing, and they like don't talk anymore, and it's just like they have nothing. Like their marriage is just like completely obliterated at this point. And in the middle of their anniversary night, of their night in, there's a ringing at the door. And it's her best friend or her work friend, the person that we've been referencing for like a couple of years at this point, shows up at their door. It's a girl, which was surprising to me. I thought it was a man the whole time. Like I thought we made the reference about her cheating. And so then I was like, so not that you can't cheat with a woman, but you'll understand in a second. I was just like, so, okay, maybe we'll come back to it. Like I said, I still have more of the book to read. So best friend chick lady shows up. She says, hey, I just had this really, really bad date, and you're the only people that I know in London. Like, can I come inside? She does. She takes off her hood, and homegirl used to have mousy brown curly hair, but she has now dyed it and cut it to look exactly like hers, right? So now these two women both have blonde matching hair. Okay, it's kind of interesting. And she's like, just whatever. They end up drinking together that night and hanging out and chit-chatting. And when they go to bed that night, Adam and his wife are talking. And, he's like, yeah, your friend's cool and all, I guess, but she's an actress. Like, it's very clear that, yeah, she's attractive, but she's like faking stuff. And I've worked with enough actresses to know that it's just kind of weird. And I love you, baby. And she's like, oh my God, I love you, baby. And then they like make love for the first time in a couple of years, which kind of, I guess, of note, they've really only talked about explicitly making love when there's been like other women directly almost in kind of like talked about and involved, like her friend in this situation or the October person from forever ago, the other actress. It's like they've only ever been intimate when she thinks that he's thinking of another woman. Really messy, 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 So yeah, they get it on. Cool. Chapter ends. We go back to current day with Adam, and she still doesn't know what he's talking about with all these little trinkets in the drawers. And Adam's like, Amelia, what the fuck? And she's like, I don't know. What do you want me to say? Like, what do you want from me? And so then he's like, okay, fine, whatever. And drags her to the stairs. And she's like, Adam, you're really, really scaring me. And she's like, look at these pictures. It was mentioned before that it's almost like a family tree lineage thing on next to the stairwell. It starts with like the original people who like maybe had this house like forever and a day. Not original, obviously, but it was like from the 1800s, like little painting photo thingies. And then it like kind of goes through the years until you get the modern ones kind of at the top. And so he grabs her and he's like, do any of these people look familiar? Like, oh, can you tell me who's in these photos? Like, I obviously the whole face thing, again, just reminded about this face thing. Who are these people? Do anybody look familiar? And it's like halfway through the photos, it starts, she's like, oh, that's Henry. Like, Henry's in these pictures. And he's like, okay. And it's on the tip of his tongue to ask about her. And Amelia knows he's going to ask about her, but he doesn't, because then he sees that there's a door open at the top of the stairs, and that door was definitely not open earlier, and so it interrupts the train of thought. And you're thinking, who the fuck is her? Give me answers, please. I've been suffering for so long. Just give me a crumb, please. Just give me a crumb of an answer. Oh my God. So instead of answering who her is, they go into this room that has been previously locked and previously unopened. They go inside. It's a child's bedroom. And in the middle of the child's bedroom is a dollhouse that looks identical to their Victorian house that they have in London. Huh? They open it. And the interior of the dollhouse looks just like their house in London. Just like how their whole bedroom situation, they had like the same bed sheets and bedspread and all that other crap. And he looks, and there's 2 dolls in each of the rooms. There's an old man in tweed and a little girl wearing red. What do you mean? So assumably Henry and this little girl, and he's looking around the room and he's realizing that there's like something that he's not seeing. Like there's something that he is like not putting together. And then he like looks at the fabric and the walls and all these things, and he realizes that there's robins everywhere. Okay. And so then we go into our next chapter, and this is the 10th anniversary letter. And she's saying, hey, yeah, our marriage sucks, and I didn't know what was happening in it, and I should have known better. For like a long time, I felt like somebody was watching us, and you know, you can always tell when somebody's watching you, and we should have known. And the night before their anniversary, she comes home, like, I guess kind of early, kind of surprised, kind of sneaks up on Adam and sees him in his study, and he has like a half-drinking bottle of whiskey, and he's watching this interview. And it was like the one interview that Henry Winter ever did. It was like he was celebrating his 50 books in 50 years and decided to do this interview. And he's like talking about all of his experiences and blah, blah, blah. There's one particular part of the interview where the interviewer says, hey, how do you feel about all of the TV adaptations of your books? And he says, I don't like them. I actually think they're garbage, but other people do, so that's cool, I guess. And like completely drops like the facade, you know, like the like PR facade. And he's like, yeah, no, it's bullshit. I hate it. He's watching this on repeat, right? This is his hero, his like father figure guy he has looked up to for a decade. His favorite author of a decade finally landed all these really cool things. Like dudes come over to their house and like drank together and hung out and vibed and been this big inspiration. Just said he hates his work. And he's just watching it on repeat, getting drunk. Oh my God. And so she sees this and she's like, oh, she's gonna like step back real slow and walks out of the house. Doesn't walk out. She like goes to the front door and like slams it really loud so he hears her come in. And then she's like, hey, I'm gonna go take a shower. She goes upstairs, and when she comes back down, it's all cleaned up and he's acting normal, like this wasn't happening. And she's like, oh, I was like really blind to your suffering about all this. This really, really sucks. And so she's like, I didn't realize that you were like depressed like that. And so the next day, she comes home from work early. It's the day of their anniversary. And she's like, you know, I wanted to spend time with you. I thought this would be really great. Like, obviously, we really needed it. She gets home. It's like weirdly, eerily silent. She goes up to their bedroom. She opens the door. Adam is in bed with her best friend. The one that we've talked about for a couple of years now. The one that showed up on their anniversary last year. That had miraculously had the same haircut as her and whatnot. Girl, okay. And the whole time last year when this woman was over, she was like flirting it up with him. You know, she was schmoozing a little bit and talking about how horrible the dating life is and like, oh, you got one of the good ones, blah, blah, blah. And then now this bitch is in bed with him. And so her world like collapses inward, right? Like this was her best friend and obviously her husband. And she's like, she's just standing there. Adam realizes she's there and he's like looking back and forth between the two of them and he says, I thought it was you. I thought it was you. And he starts like to blush and she's like, well, you blush when you lie. So I don't think that's the truth. And then he's like, I'm sorry, babe. Like I'll do anything. Like, you know, we can go to Scotland like we did on our honeymoon. Like I would go to marriage counseling. We'll do anything that you want to like try to keep this marriage alive. So so I read the one more chapter and then I was like, oh, okay, I have to touch base before I figure anything else out because I don't want to be biased in my storytelling right now, okay? So we cut back to current day, Amelia's perspective. And now that she's put it together, she realizes like, oh, this is Robin's doing. Robin's done all of this. Don't you see? Do you not understand what's happening right now, Adam? Are you stupid? And he's like, what? I don't see what's going on. And so she takes him to look at the photographs again that are on the staircase. And she's pointing at one of them and it's like clearly like a wedding going on. And she says, it's you. I say, we study the image then, the expensive looking suit he wore for the wedding, the confetti on his shoulders, the wedding dress, the rings, the happy smiles, and someone else in the shot. Henry's in the background. We both know he wasn't invited, but the fact that he was there, standing on the street outside the registry office by the looks of it, along with seeing this picture on his wall of family portraits, suggests that he thought of you as much more than just a screenwriter who adapted his books. Adam still doesn't understand. This isn't going to be easy, but my husband needs to know the truth now, and I need to be the one to tell him the woman in the wedding photo isn't me. I feel like the Always Sunny picture with the red string. The woman in the wedding photo isn't me. So he's married to Robin. Right? My theory currently is like he was married to Robin. Maybe this is the best friend. Did the best friend Gone Girl this situation? I don't know if it's like Gone Girl's not a good comparison, but you know what I'm saying? Like did they like swap places and then Robin is the one who wrote all the letters before? Like it's actually been Robin's perspective because it always says your wife. It doesn't ever say her name ever. But then I'm like, but he would know if his wife's name changed, right? Or did he leave Robin to be with Amelia? Did Amelia just like assume Robin's identity and Robin changed her name to Robin? Is that his wife? It's only been 2 years and she was acting like she hadn't seen him since he was a boy though, like a child boy baby kid. But maybe it was intentionally phrased awkwardly. But I'm like, if it's only been 2 years, that's not long enough to be like, he's changed so much. Like that's odd. That's a really odd way to phrase that, like intentionally shady if that is what it is. So I'm like, what? I mean, okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess I got to keep reading. I guess I have to go. So I'm just going to read part of this with you and we'll see what happens. What do you mean? I ask, staring at the picture of a bride and groom whose faces I can't see. It's a photo of your first wedding when you married Robin. Okay. Okay. I'm already shattered. We stand in silence at the top of the staircase. It feels as if we stay that way for a long time while I try to process what Amelia has said. I don't understand. I think you do, she says. I think that even though you were married to Robin for 10 years, she never told you that she was Henry Winter's daughter. I think she grew up here and that little girl's bedroom was hers. I stare at my second wife for a long time, trying to see from her face whether this is some kind of prank. But the Van Gogh swirls are back and I grip the banister for balance. This is insane. That can't be true. Amelia shakes her head. I know you can't see it, but these 3 photos on the wall, the ones that were missing yesterday, are all of your ex-wife. This is you and Robin married with photobomb from Henry. This is the Robin when she was younger, teenaged, I'd guess, in a rowboat fishing on Blackwater Loch. And this is a little girl who looks like Robin sitting on Henry's lap reading a book while he smokes a pipe. And he's like, that can't be true. Henry didn't have children. And she's like, well, obviously he did. And Robin never wanted to talk about her family, especially her father, blah, blah, blah. And they just had this like, okay, so, oh, okay, yeah, here we go. I know you can't see it for yourself, so you're going to have to trust me, Amelia says. After seducing me, her best friend's husband, trusting her is something I've never been great at. What? You're the one that got seduced. What do you mean? You're gonna be like, oh, I don't trust my second wife because she seduced me and stole me from my first wife? Are you fucking high? Are you high as hell right now? Okay, there's nothing, oh my God, there's nothing scarier than getting like the ring notification of somebody being at your door when you're yelling nonsense. Okay. Anyway, I'm telling you that these pictures are all of your ex-wife. The ones of her as a little girl look like the spitting image of the ones of Henry as a little boy. The likeness is uncanny. They could be twins separated by 40 years. Or it might be time to accept that Robin is Henry's daughter. Her words feel like a series of slaps, pinches, and punches. I can't get my head around it, but I'm starting to believe what Amelia is saying. And so then he's really confused because he's like, I don't understand why neither of them would ever tell me that. Like, why would they not? And she's like, well, maybe they did it for good reason, dummy. And he's like, he's now trying to figure out like, okay, this is also crazy and weird, but also that means that like Robin is the one that lured us here, right? Because she did the little trinkets and the little thing. So it's like, and if she's Henry's kid, then like that's why we're here. But like, why would we be lured here? Like, why would this be happening now? Well, he realizes what day it is. It's the 12th anniversary of his first wedding, right? Are you following? I guess this is gonna be his 12th wedding present. Ugh. Okay, let me go read. Hold on. I gotta I gotta figure some stuff out. I'll come back. This is nonsense. This is absolutely nonsensical. I'm at 77%. I still have like 60 pages. What more are you going to tell me in 60 pages? I'm scared. Help. Help. So in Robin's perspective, we get a little bit of backstory about like her and how we ended up here and like what the fuck, right? So she left. She was pretty much just like running away after on her 9th anniversary when she opened up the door and she saw the two of them in bed together. She just left. She was like, I'm not dealing with any of this. And just so happened that is the exact moment that her father called her. That was when Henry called to tell her that he was dying and to ask her to come home. Robin hadn't spoken to her father in years, but a series of fallen stars seemed to align themselves that afternoon to guide her back to the home she ran away from as a child. Truth be told, she had nowhere else to go. So that's kind of the timing of all of this stuff. And then we get more information about Robin and why she ran away from home. And she's, reflecting on how, again, it's not her reflecting. I want to be very, very clear about this. This is a third person omniscient perspective recapping her childhood events. And I'm going to revisit that fact at the end here, okay? So the Robin chapter is telling us about her childhood and saying how much of a monster that her father was and how people who read and write true crime novels and thrillers know there are an infinite number of ways to get away with murder. Robin suspects that it happens all the time, which, by the way, is like a verbatim quote from something that what's-his-face had said earlier. Adam had said in one of his chapters earlier. There's a couple times where it happens through the book where it's like a almost verbatim sentence pull from like one chapter to another, which is like, I'm assuming supposed to be a meaningful parallel about how these two characters are interconnected or like have similar thought processes or something, but it doesn't land. It just makes me think that you had an idea and then you didn't like really proofread or edit it correctly. It doesn't land, I think, in the way that the author intended. Regardless though, she's like, her dad sucked. She's like, he killed her mom, like drowned her in a tub. And then he even wrote a book about it later. And, you know, she went to school one time and she wrote a story. And then he got so upset about it and made her write on a chalkboard, like, I will not tell tales, like a million times over. And chopped off her hair in the middle of the night to be like vindictive about her writing these stories or whatever in boarding school. And she got sent there because it was after he killed her mom. And this like really, really traumatic childhood of like, this is why she ran away. Henry seems cool, but he actually really freaking sucks. And that's what this whole chapter is. Like, he's a monster. And she only came back because, you know, she had to, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Like, that's the context of like, of what we're getting here. Also, the fact that like when she got there and she was looking through her dad's study, she found a copy of Rock, Paper, Scissors that Adam had sent a copy of his like baby, asking Henry to turn it into a novel so that way it had a chance to get on TV. Because obviously him doing it by himself was not good enough. And so her finding this, she's like sad because she's like, I bet my dad never actually even read this or even cared about him or cared about any of this stuff. And that's really, really sad. So, you know, this gives her an idea of how she's going to rewrite her life and rewrite the ending to it, I guess. And then we go into the next chapter, and this letter is written on what would have been their 11th anniversary. And she's talking about this new life that she's living in the cottage. She didn't want to live in the chapel because it just brought back all of these bad memories of like her childhood and all this other stuff. And she didn't want to spend any of her dad's blood money, is what she called it, because of she thinks that he killed her mom, right? Obviously never convicted. It was ruled as an accident, whatever, but she's like convinced of this and him just being this like evil guy. So she chooses to stay in the nearby cottage because she does like the peace and quiet. And it is actually very calming to be alone and to be a recluse, but she doesn't go in the chapel and she doesn't spend any of his money because of all of these things, right? So it's kind of what that one is. It's just like a reflection of her time in solitude. And also, I think the assumption is like the skeleton key that she had tried to give him forever ago was a key to the chapel, maybe. And that was, she was going to like tell him about it, I guess, possibly, potentially, maybe, sure. And then we get Amelia's perspective for the first time in a while. And she's just icky. Like, just incredibly icky, and obviously it's like intentionally so, where she's like, well, their marriage was over anyway and they deserved it, and I did him a favor by taking interest in him because she was obviously just miserable, and she thought that she was doing me a favor when I started at the doggy daycare place, but really I was doing her a favor because she was the loneliest, most pathetic woman that I ever met. And it's like all of a sudden Amelia is just this like monster that it doesn't feel matchy-matchy to the person that we have been presented through her chapters previously. Like, it's very jarring, this like attitude change that happens here. But it's like, maybe it's intentional, right? Maybe the mask has fallen off somewhat, but it shouldn't have fallen off because there hasn't been any big reveals yet from what they know. We as the audience have had a big reveal that would be indicative or reason for a personality change, but they've known that they've had an affair and have been remarried and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, there's a disconnect happening here. But anyway, yeah, she's just talking about how much better she is than Robin and more attractive and everything, and how she worked for like a long time to try to get Adam out of this like sad marriage. And then she's like, okay, well, hey, we need to go. Like, again, this is like really creepy. Like, we'll walk home. I don't give a like, we need to get out of here, okay? And so when they go back up to the bedroom to go and pack, it is really weird in the room. Like, you can sense Robin. Like, you can just like feel her presence. And they look on the bed and it's a big silk red kimono. The one that he has all these nightmares of his mother wearing. It's really, really weird. And then they look at the mirror, and in the mirror, in red lipstick, it says rock, paper, scissors. And so she says, hey, so what is this? And he doesn't understand about this whole thing, like why this kimono would be here and what does any of this mean?
Editing Kaylee here. I realize like there's not really a good place to put this, so I think it's somewhere around this point in the book that Adam acknowledges why he was being weird all weekend. in turning off the generator and doing all that stuff before was he was trying to scare her. And when he was like slamming the door and then he like cut the power the other time, he was trying to sabotage the trip to go home early because he didn't want to be there and he didn't want to go on this trip with her. And so that's why he was being awkward and weird and shady, because he was trying to like not demolish, not establish, not sabotage either, but something along those lines. He was trying to like sabotage the vacation.
And so the following chapter is Silk, right? Silk is the gift for the 12th anniversary. Today is the 12th anniversary of their wedding, or like whatever anniversary date of their original wedding. The kimono is Silk. Silk, this is the gift that she's giving him, right? You tracking? And the letter associated with this moment, the letter recapping all of this that we get, goes into, again, more detail about her relationship with Henry and why she didn't tell Adam that she was Henry's daughter because she didn't want him to treat her any different. But she's like, maybe I should have told you because maybe we would still be together if you knew who I was, but I just wanted you to love me for me, and I didn't want to feel like I owed my dad anything. Even asking him that one time for the one TV adaptation, I felt like I owed him a lot, and it was only supposed to be one time, but I tried to help your dreams, but really I think I stunted them instead. And then my dad just used you to feel close to me, and I'm so sorry for getting you into all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Just like explaining stuff. And then at the end of it, she's like, oh, and hey, P.S., by the way, you know, I've continued writing novels under my dad's pen name, and everything's been fine, and it's going great, and I still love you so much, and we could be together. I still love you, Adam, and I've never stopped loving you. And you don't know who your wife really is. Amelia, hold on, let me find this. I know I lied to you about my father, but at least my lies were to protect you and us. Nothing you think you know about Amelia is true. Your wife was to blame for your mother's death when you were a child, and I think it's only right that you know that before making a decision. Don't believe me? Maybe try telling Amelia that you know the truth, but be careful because she's not the woman that you think she is. I know this will be hard to take in, let alone believe, but deep down, didn't you always feel as though something wasn't quite right about Amelia? The first time you met her when she arrived uninvited at our home, claiming to have had a bad date, you described her as an actress. It turns out your first impressions were right. I found the notebook by the bed when she writes down every detail of your nightmares. Did you ever wonder why she does that? I'm sure she said it was to try to help you remember the face of who killed your mom, but maybe it was to make sure you never did. It's no wonder she needs pills to help her sleep at night. The guilt she must feel would keep anyone awake. And so then she's like, knowing what you know now, and I have all the private investigator emails and documents to prove it. Do you still love her? Private investigator documents. I think it's talked about in a minute, but I'll go ahead and tell you now because it doesn't really matter. Her father had hired a private investigator to follow her ever since she ran away when she was like 18. I think is when she ran away for good to London, and he hired this PI. And he had followed her and ultimately then meant that he followed Adam and realized about their affair and had all of these documentations. And then the PI guy looked into Amelia, obviously the new wife, and got all that information and was sending all of these updates to Henry. And then once Robin took over Henry's emails and intercepted his mail and all this stuff, now she's been getting the updates from the PI. So she's been seeing all of the updates to the house. That's why she bought the same bedding that is in their bedroom now, because Amelia had redecorated it and the PI somehow got photos or evidence or proof of all of this purchase. And so then she bought it to be creepy. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but that's how she knows so much information is from this PI that's been following them for years and years and years and years. Okay. I guess. Cool. She ends this letter and she was like, private investigator emails to prove it. Do you still love her? Can you ever really trust her again? What happens next is up to you. It's a simple choice. Like when we used to play rock, paper, scissors. Option 1, rock. You try to leave with the woman who killed your mother. Option 2, paper. You walk out of here alone and come find me and Bob, the dog, in the cottage. We're waiting for you, and I want nothing more than for us all to be together again. I will move back to London. We can publish Rock, Paper, Scissors as a novel using Henry's name. Nobody else ever needs to know, and I promise you, you will finally get your screenplay made. You won't need to adapt anyone else's work ever again and can spend the rest of your life writing your own stories. Option 3, scissors. you don't want to know option 3. The choice is yours. I know what I'm asking you to decide sounds difficult, but it really is as easy as rock, paper, scissors if you can remember how to play. You're Robin XX. Okay, so we get Amelia's perspective, and her perspective is like, she really has given up on her marriage with Adam already. And she's like talked to a lawyer basically and has had all this stuff together. And that's why she asked about his life insurance policy and got him to sign that paper before, so that that could justify the money to give her in the divorce or something. And so whenever she was being super ominous way earlier in the book about how only one of us is going home, it's because if this didn't work at rekindling their marriage, she had an apartment that she was just going to move directly into, that she's like kind of worked with other people already about. And so that's what her weird vibe has been, was just wanting to divorce him, I guess. And so her and Adam are having this argument upstairs in the bedroom about this kimono and packing and getting the frick out of Dodge, when there's this like crazy banging downstairs, like knocking on the door. And she gets pissed because she's like, I'm not afraid of Robin. I'm, again, like verbatim is like, I'm more attractive than her. I'm stronger than her, like mentally and physically stronger than her. Like, I'm going to beat this woman. So she goes downstairs to the banging at the door, and she like unbarricades it. And Adam's there kind of helping her. And he's like, are you sure this is a good idea? And she's like, well, what else would we do? So she tries to open the doors and realizes Robin has like chained them in the house. And Amelia realizes this, curses her out, calls her every name in the book. And then all of a sudden, a little letter comes under the door. This is the first and only time that Adam is getting a copy of the letters, right? So he has the 12th year letter that is giving him the options for rock, paper, scissors to figure his life out of what happens next. And to get the reveal that Amelia is this really horrible person that like killed his mom. Turns out Amelia, for the backstory of what the PI was able to find, Amelia got in trouble. She was an orphan kid, which we knew about already, but she bounced from foster home to foster home. And then she went from like shoplifting to doing joy rides and stealing cars. And she ended up getting in trouble at one point for like vehicular manslaughter, whatever the like kind of equivalent would be for England or whatever. And her foster mom took the fall for it, but then recanted her statement or something. And so Amelia got in trouble for it, but like kind of sort of not really. And ever since that happened, Adam, like we said, couldn't remember her face, and so couldn't pick her out of a lineup. And so there was no proof that she was the one that was driving the car. And I'm not sure how the PI put all this stuff together. But then she started to stalk Adam for like a really long time and like was keeping tabs on him throughout the years. And so is she feeling guilty? Is that why she's here and befriending him? And like, apparently that was her goal all along, was to get close to him. And so that's why she befriended Robin and started working at the dog place to try to get buddy to get close to Adam, and slept with him and all this other stuff. And so then you're sitting here and you're thinking, as an apology, did she feel guilty? Was she trying to make his life better, or just like stalk him and just got like this weird obsession with this guy? What are we talking about, right? So Adam, reading all of this information in this letter, is now faced with the decision of what to do. And we get like a complete recap of everything that I just told you. We literally read the same sentences like 3 times in 3 chapters. I was losing my mind, okay? He reads it. And then he asks Amelia, he's like, did you go to the same boarding school as me and never told me? Or did you ever get in trouble with the law? Did you go to jail for XYZ? Like, did you kill my mom? Is essentially like what we finally get down to. And she has an asthma attack as he's like confronting her and asking all of these questions. And her inhaler, remember, Robin took it, emptied it out of all of this stuff. It doesn't have it. So she's in the midst of an asthma attack, cannot breathe, cannot respond to him as he is confronting her. And it's very, very clear that she is in fact the girl that was driving the car that killed his mother. And As he confronts her and it's all coming together and he's piecing it all together in his mind, she lunges over and grabs a knife off of the kitchen table that they're standing next to and comes up to him like she's about to stab him. For what reason? I don't know. Don't ask me. But then all of a sudden, behind her, another face appears holding a sharp pair of scissors. I guess that was option number 3. I guess that was the scissors option. And so our next chapter is called Scissors. We have 3 more chapters. Before that happens, though, I guess I do need to say that one. As Amelia is like not being able to breathe, the only thing that she can say back to Adam is like, I'm sorry, I love you, I'm not the only one who lied. And then the knife and then all the other stuff happens. Not the only one who lied? What does that mean? What does that mean? So our chapter Scissors is 6 months in the future. 6 months in the future, it's a letter, obviously, from Robin to Adam. And it's like, hey, you know, I'm so happy to be home in London with you. I love it so much here. You know, we've completely redecorated the house and gotten rid of any trace of Amelia. She never should have lived here in the first place, but like, I'm so glad to be back. And now we have Bob and Oscar, our dog and rabbit thing. And nobody knows what happened in Scotland, and nobody ever needs to. And then now her whole thing is that like they did do the adaptation, the publishing of Rock, Paper, Scissors with like the instant screenplay deal with it so that Adam can finally get his like book thing up. And then now they're going to just keep writing. And she has all these like bestsellers under her belt now because she's just like this phenomenal writer and has like stepped right into, you know, her father's position. And like they're still not telling anybody that he's dead. So like she's just publishing under his like as like a pen name, basically under her dad's name. And they're just going to pretty much write all of Adam's stuff and say that it's her dad's so that they can just instantly get his stuff published and out there and then turned into movies. And then they can be the power couple that they've like always wanted to be, apparently, all of a sudden, which is great. It sounds great. And, you know, Adam's perspective, we get the big reveal from Adam that Amelia is not, in fact, the only one who lied, because he went out that night, the night that his mom died. He went out brooding that she was having men over because he didn't like this whole sex work thing that I talked about before that she was doing. Like, he did not enjoy this. And so he was upset, and he goes out late at night and he's out doing whatever and ended up in an alley with this girl that he went to school with. Didn't know what she looked like, didn't know anything about her, didn't even get her name. But they end up talking and smoking and drinking. They're like 13 years old. Hooking up in the alleyway. And then she shows him how to hotwire a car. And then they go for a joyride. And he's driving the car, 13, drunk, new thing, vibing with this girl. She puts her hand on him as he's driving. He gets distracted and looks down. He's going like 70 miles an hour. And when he looks back up, his mom is on the hood of the car. He's the one that ran over his mother. So he slams on the brakes, gets out the car. The girl that he was with hops in the driver's seat and goes driving off. So, okay. So he says, the quote from his chapter is, "I just want to put everything behind me, and now I finally can. Sometimes a lie is the kindest truth you can tell a person, including itself." Oh, what? Like, what is the point of that? What do you mean? And so I'm like, why? He's been having these nightmares, but then like playing. So then I'm like, did this just come to you? Did you just get this reminder, or have you known this entire time about the kimono and that it was your mom that we were witnessing and we were just keeping it? Again, this is the thing that pisses me off about the having me in the person's brain, but then having them not actually think these things. You can't just like magically have them suddenly think about something at the very end of the book and call it a reveal. No, it was just you like actively, like that's not how this would go. You know what I'm saying? But Amelia being in the car with him is weird. So then I'm like, maybe, I don't know. You know what? It doesn't matter, because in the last chapter of the book, it's from another person's point of view. It's from Sam's point of view. And you're thinking, who is Sam? It's a private investigator that Henry hired when Robin was 18 and ran away to London, right? This is the PI that he hired to keep an eye on her. And so Sam, the PI guy, we get his perspective. And like I said, he's been doing this whole PI thing for like 12 years. He's been following this family, and he's been talking to Henry. Like, they actually kind of got like friendly and were emailing. And I mean, yeah, the guy was a little bit of like a recluse, but like they talked quite a bit actually, like on the phone and emails and whatnot. And he actually got kind of like, not addicted, but like really interested in Robin and Adam's life and like what they were up to, and he's been there since they got the dog and seen the dog grow up from a puppy. And he's, just been like really invested in these folks, and realizes that like Henry has slowly completely cut off conversations. About 2 years ago, the same time that Robin disappeared out of London and completely fell off of the face of the earth, he stopped getting phone calls from Henry, and Henry never returned them and all this other stuff. And then eventually they emailed back and forth, but it kind of slowed down, and he didn't have the same, friendly tone that he usually did in his emails. And then the payments stopped coming. Like, he stopped getting his like large monthly sum to keep tabs on people. And so he's just getting kind of worried, and so he goes to try to check up on his friend. And I mean, yeah, Henry never told him where he lived, but he's a PI. Of course he knows like at least the general area where he goes. And so Sam wanders his way out into the Scottish Highlands and ends up talking to Patty, the really grotesque lady at the convenience store, which of course we get described how grotesque that she is for some godforsaken reason. I guess that's important. He gives her $10, and then she draws a map to get to the chapel to go where Henry is. And so while he's doing this and trying to find the church and trying to do all this stuff, he's also thinking about what he's learned about this family through the years. And from Sam's perspective, Henry said that she, being Robin, was always making up stories, and that it got her in trouble at boarding school as well as at home. She got suspended once for telling girls in her dormitories tales about witches who whispered their victims' names 3 times before killing them. It was all just the result of an overactive imagination, which, to be fair, she'd inherited. But when Henry tried to discipline Robin, she cut off her own hair with a pair of scissors one night, which, when we got Robin's thing, her perspective earlier, she was saying that her dad cut her hair off. But also, from Henry's thing, it's talking about how much of like a troubled child she was, and she acted out horrible, and all he ever did was love her. And that's why he hired this PI to keep an eye on her, because all he wanted to do was for her to be happy. And, Henry had told the PI how much that he loved Robin, how much he actually really loved Adam and really enjoyed him. And as long as Adam made her happy, then he was happy, and really kind of viewed him as like the son he never had. Yeah, he didn't like the TV adaptations the guy did, but he was willing to overlook that because his daughter was happy. And like I say, he's got this son-in-law and everything's like great. Okay, I guess. So Robin's a liar as well, is like what we're supposed to get out of this, that Robin is a liar. Okay, so Sam gets to the church. Point of all of this. He gets to the church, and it's boarded up. And there's like a chain and lock and everything on the door. Like, he can't get in. It's very clearly abandoned. It goes by the little cottage thing. It's very clearly abandoned. But he gets his flashlight and he goes walking around because he's like, there's got to be something. Like, I've come all this way. It's like super late at night. It's dark outside. Like, I got to do something. So he gets his flashlight. So he's walking around. He finds a cemetery in the back. And he's like looking at some of the different headstones, and ends up tripping as he's looking at one of them that looks pretty new. It's got to be like a year or two old. It's fancy looking. And as he's approaching it, he trips and falls over a fresh mound of dirt, indicating somebody has recently been buried. Okay, weird. Scary, because he drops his flashlight, and then he's in the middle of the woods, and he thinks he hears people whispering his name, and he's like, wow, no wonder, this is such a creepy place. Of course somebody would have an overactive imagination. That would make sense. You can't blame him there. As he gets up and he gets his flashlight and he looks at the gravestone, it says, Henry Winter, killer of one, author of many. Killer of one. So are they trying to frame him for killing Amelia? Are they saying that he... Oh yeah, wait, hold on, what's the date say? Oh, and they took off the date. It doesn't have the date that he had lived for. So are they saying that he killed Amelia? Is the assumption that, like, he did kill his wife? Right? Because before it said father of one, and that got scratched out, and now it says author of, or killer of one. So who are we killing? The mom? Amelia? The wife? That's who's in the dirt pile, I'm assuming. And as he's looking at it too, he sees on top of the tombstone is a little box. There was a tiny glass box on the grave, the kind someone might keep trinkets inside. Sam shone his flashlight on it and hesitated before bending down to take a closer look. When he did, he saw that the box contained 3 items: a sapphire ring, which was Adam's mom's ring that he gave to Robin. And then when she had seen that they were having an affair, she took off the sapphire ring and her other like wedding ring and left it on the kitchen table. Amelia like immediately went downstairs and put it on. And so then Amelia was wearing the sapphire ring, just for context here. A paper crane and a small pair of vintage scissors designed to look like a stork. It was the ring that caught his eye, not just because of the sparkling blue rock, but because it was still attached to what appeared to be a human finger. The wind picked up then, and Sam thought he heard someone whisper his name again 3 times. He didn't believe in ghosts, but he ran to his car as fast as he could and didn't look back. The end.
Hello, it's me, Editing Kaylee. I've returned. The only other thing that, like, I didn't really mention or touch on was one of the other final things that Amelia said before she died. One of the last things that she said to Adam was like, hey, don't you think it's weird that all of these people that have, like, come between you and Robin are now dead, right? Like, Henry's dead now. October died. There's like somebody, Henry's agent forever ago, like the one that didn't allow for the screen adaptations, that guy randomly died. Like, don't you think that's weird? Like, maybe she is lying to you. Like, maybe she's like set up and not like staged, but like orchestrated, mastermind, like your entire relationship. So I think we're also supposed to end the book with some type of layer of uncomfortableness of how much potentially Robin is lying on top of all of this other stuff, and how long has she been lying, and like all of these other secrets and stuff that she referenced in the letters in the beginning of the book. Was it literally just that her dad was Henry, or is there more? Is there more and more stuff? So I do want to acknowledge that piece of it, that like I think we're supposed to end the book also questioning her and her motives.
I don't think I have any words. Like, what happened and why did it happen? And so she lied. She's also a little crazy. I mean, they killed a lady together, right? Like, she's literally stabbed a woman. So like, obviously Robin's a little cuckoo, and so is Adam. And yeah, he's like, yeah, I love my wife so much. I never should have cheated on her. It was just a mistake, and then I just fell for everything, and I never saw through the ruse that was Amelia, and I'm just a stupid man, but I love my wife so much. I'm so in love with her. Which I guess is also why the relationship between him and Amelia felt like horrendous, because, you know, they obviously weren't vibing because they got married like instantaneously. He said it was lust dressed up like love. So yeah. I'm looking back at it. Okay, so I have a couple issues, right? Like we said, I'm stumped. Because I just feel like I wasted my time, and I feel like a lot of it doesn't add up, bro. Like at all. Because, like I said, if we're doing third person storytelling, which Sam's perspective was also from third person, you can't tell me 2 different events and occurrences and like interpretations of events from third person. Like, that's so stupid. Tell me the truth. Like, one of these has to be like the verbatim actual truth, or what's the point of having third person? Like, if we were just going to give it to me and present it to me in that way, then just do it from like a first person point of view of like Robin's interpretation and the lies that she's telling, and then other stuff, and then correct it with a proper third person thing from Sam. It's just weird. It is such a weird shift in perspectives and storytelling for reasons that like I cannot fathom. And then you're keeping thoughts that don't make any sense. Like, these people would not have thought any of this the way that this happened at all. And also, I'm looking back at this and I'm like, yeah, can a weekend away save our marriage? And in the first thing with Amelia's perspective, she's like, I married a man who wouldn't be able to pick me out in a police lineup. That's crazy work, actually. But I thought, I guess that was the whole point. You're supposed to be tricked that they had been together for 10 years. I'm not the woman he fell in love with all those years ago. I wonder whether he can tell how much older I look now. It's been 2 years. 40 might be the new 30, but my skin is creased with wrinkles that were rarely caused by laughter. We used to have so much in common, sharing our secrets and dreams, not just a bed. We still finish each other's sentences, but these days we get them wrong. You guys literally never had that. You literally, well, I guess, because he met her on the 9th wedding anniversary. All those years ago. How much have you aged? He met her on the 9th wedding anniversary when she showed up randomly on the doorstep. That was the first time. Well, actually, I guess not, because she might be referencing all those years ago when they met when they were like 13 years old. When they met when they were at school together and whatever, when she killed his mom and stuff and they hooked up. Okay, so maybe that's why she's so weird about knowing him for so long, even though she hasn't known him for that long. Like, he hasn't known her as who she is for that long. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I liked this book. Again, I feel like with everything, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of potential. But then I'm like, I also feel like we're just throwing so much shit together that, like, it was like one too many things. I don't know. This is weird. I don't know. How do you feel, dude? I gotta go simmer. I gotta go sit on this. And maybe when I'm like editing this back through and I'm like re-listening, I'll feel differently. But I'm like, I can't do any other motions. I don't have any other words. Sorry if you're an audio listener. I'm like not even using English right now. I just genuinely don't know how I feel about any of it. Anyway, I think that's all I got, guys. Thanks for tagging along. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you guys as always. Yeah. Let me know what you thought, like I said, in the comments below. Otherwise, like I said, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every single one of you. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.